proceed to our mini game. Let's ask our audiences kung ano yung mga reactions nila for earlier talks, no? So, lahat nakaduko lahat nakayuko tonight, ay today. Pili tayo ng soloist. Hi sir, good afternoon. So, what's your name, sir?
Person. Hi, person.
And you are a student, a professional?
Yes, fresh grad.
Fresh grad, okay. So, as sa two nating talk kanina, ano yung parang saan ka nakarelate na better for you?
About sa Firebase. Sa Firebase.
Firebase. Okay. Firebase daw pala siya. Sa bagay, fresh grad, no? Okay. We have our Kahoot game pin now. Please join us at www.kahoot.it with the game pin 1732126.
Yun. Para sa mga wala pang Wi-Fi, you can access our Wi-Fi. The password is GDG Manila 15. We'll be giving away a limited edition jacket sa first place, and then shirts naman sa second and third runner-up. So make sure to join.
Ayan
Yung
na.
mga sumatay na 14.
Ayan na sila. Yung mga nasa likod, nakapila na, nakasali pa sa Kahoot.
Okay, guys, nakadalian. We'll start na in a while.
Start tayo ng
18.
1 minute na lang pala. Sumali na kayo, dali.
Make sure na tatandaan nyo yung mga code din na pinaglalagay nyo dyan. Yun yung gagamitin nyo sa pag-claim later on. Make sure to screenshot yung mismong username na ginamit nyo and to show na kayo mismo yun.
For the winner strategy.
Yeah, you may approach me here na lang sa side na to.
Okay. And for those who, sa mga nanalo ng yellow sticker kanina.
Yeah, you may approach Jonelle here.
Yan, you may approach.
Jonelle, raise your hand down.
Ayan, si Jonelle.
Ayun, you may claim pa rin.
Okay, I think may pumapasok pa din, no?
Going once.
Totoo?
Sarap. Sigaw pag wait lang. Meron pa ba?
Okay, wait lang daw.
Go! 96. Daming contenders para sa ating jacket. Ito
Malamig ata ang Pasko ng mga to. Bakit? Biglang
Pakita natin yung jacket natin. Ayan, with the Google Development Group Manila logo. Yun. Kamay na lang po, 200 pesos. Joke lang.
Bakit ganun?
Ayan, okay na ba? 112. May hahabol pa ba? Wala nang sumisigaw ng wait lang.
Okay na.
Feeling ko we can start na.
Okay.
Wait, sumisigaw ka. Meron ba? Oo, pasigaw.
Diba? For the jacket.
Guys, 10 seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll start the game.
Starting now with 120 contenders. Ayan. Pabilisan to. So, yan.
Ito muna ating
Choose the correct answer sa inyong mobile. For our first question, syempre, we need to know, are you ready? Ayan.
Siyempre, no.
Pag may nag-medal dito, hindi natin itutuloy. Charot. Joke lang. Ayan. So we have to, ang haba pala ng second, sorry. Ayun.
Okay, for
Ikaw, ready ka na ba?
Parang di pa.
Kasi hindi ka nakalag sa Kahoot. Kaya
Ayaw
ready na ba? Paano ka mananalo ng jacket?
Hindi, backstage.
Wow. Ayan. O yun. May isang hindi ready. Sino yun?
Ano ba yan?
May hindi rin daw sure.
Oo nga.
Oh my God. Nakakaloka. Anyway.
Siguro yung mga takot sa
through.
Takot sa commitment.
Ang lalim Kahoot lang to. Okay, for our first question, we have 5 questions lang, guys. Ayan.
Okay, zero
Next,
ba?
ito na yung first question. Who is the current CEO of Google?
For red, we have Mark Zuckerberg. Blue, Sundar Pichai. Orange is Elon Musk. And green, Jeff Bezos.
8, 7, 6 ang
Six,
pabilisan ko
five.
ha, hindi lang
True.
tama yung sagot nyo. Yeah. So the correct answer is
Sundar Pichai.
oh,
For those who
100 kayo
answered blue.
nakatama. Let's see the scoreboard.
Sino kaya ang nangunguna?
Oh.
Jets with
Jets.
967.
Sino si Jess? Ayan. Let's see kung
Abangan
siya
na
pa
to
yung
sa
panalo.
labas.
Let's go to our next question. Which among these icons is not a Google product icon?
Number one. Yan.
Not a Google product
Yan.
icon.
Number two, ito.
Feeling ko ito.
Parang, no, hindi familiar.
Familiar, sorry. As an,
Oo, no, as GDG, hindi talaga siya familiar.
ayan. The correct answer is
The
it's an
red
icon.
one. Kasi ito ay
It's an
sa
icon from Dumb Ways to Die.
Dumb Ways to Die.
Yeah.
Tama. And,
So, may 89 na nakatamang sagot. Let's see kung si Jess pa din yung
oo nga. Ay, siya pa
Ay,
din.
wow! With JR coming in from second place.
Oo.
Let's see.
Isang point lang, ha?
Another question we have here. What Google technology is not included in our talk sessions today?
Grabe. For red, we have Cloud. Blue, we have Firebase. Orange, we have Android. And green, TensorFlow. Ayan. Ano kaya? Sino kaya mga nakasilip talaga ng mga program flow natin? And our correct answer is TensorFlow. Ang dami mga bright people dito. Talagang alam nila yung pupuntahan nila. Si Jets pa rin ba? Ay! Ha! Hello, Den. Pili ko si Den yung si Den ba yun? Den coming with 2824. Next question. Blank is formerly known as G Suite. Suite? Huh? Sorry na. Okay, red for Google Workstation, blue for Google Workplace, orange Google Workspace, red green Google Workbench. Yan.
Ayan. What's the correct answer? We have here Google Workspace. Nakakaloka yung sumasagot ng mga Google Workplace.
Workspace.
Nalito lang yan. Ayun.
Oh, si ano pa din ba?
Okay, let's proceed. Sino kaya ang ating
Si Den. Ay!
wow!
Nakaligwak din si Den.
Pero malapit pa rin sa kanya si Albus. Albus Bumblebee.
Ano itong buko juice?
Ano to?
Lumalaban ang
Ayan,
buko.
let's see. Let's go to our next question.
Last na pala to, Ate Jera.
Oh, double points! What year did GDG Philippines started?
Red for 2006, blue 2007, orange 2008, green 2009.
All you have to do is,
Minus lang.
yeah, we're celebrating our 15th year. So, ewan ko na lang ba kung sino pang hindi nakakalam na 15th birthday natin today. Ayun. O, diba? Grabe yung mga nakiki-birthday na hindi pala alam na birthday natin.
Ano ba yan?
Anong edad yung pinuntahan ng binirthdayan nila? So, 77 yung nakakuha ng tama doon. So, sino ang ating top?
Sino
Kasi na ba
ang-
malalaman na natin sino yung champion? Ooh.
I think so. On third, we have
Wow!
Robbie Ray.
Robbie Ray! Who's Robbie Ray? Ooh,
Hello!
congrats! You won a jacket?
Debut for 2.
Ay! Ano pala? Third place pala si Robbie Ray.
Ay!
Ang
Manalo
sakit.
nung si
Sorry,
Buko Juice.
nakalasa. Ayun. Congrats, Buko Juice and Debut. So, punta na lang po sa akin dito sa side na to.
Si Robbie Ray din, may prize.
Si Robbie Ray's shirt and si Debut. Then si Buko Juice. Siyempre, Buko Juice won a jacket.
Yeah.
Congrats, everyone!
Congrats and thank you for participating. Okay, now that that's done, ayan. So, make sure your know that you are here by using our official filters. Just search for GDGPH on Facebook and IG filters page. And you can use our filters specially for this event. Okay, so without further ado, no, habang mataas pa yung ating adrenaline, let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is a front-end engineer focusing on mobile app development. She started as a React developer, then moved to Flutter over 3 years ago. She is a Google developer expert in Flutter and Dart, and she has never stopped advocating for Flutter ever since through talks and tutorials. Currently, she works at Commerce Solutions, where she is developing cross-platform e-commerce and medical applications. Here to show us the road to a Flutter developer, a roadmap from beginner to mastery, Yong Shin So. Give her a warm round of applause, everybody. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope you had a good lunch and hopefully my talk will keep you awake for a bit more. So today I'm going to share with you about my personal journey and a roadmap to go from a Flutter beginner to mastery. Before we start, oh, sorry. Let me fix this. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So before we start, let me introduce myself. I'm Yongshin, and I'm a software engineer at Commerce Solutions, which specializes in software development for mobile apps and web apps. There's also the mixed reality and virtual reality apps. And as you already know, I'm also a Google developer expert for Dart and Flutter. And on the side, I'm also helping out voluntarily in Women Who Code, which is an organization to help women to excel in their career in technology. Now I will just give you a quick overview of my personal journey of how I ended here to speak to you about Flutter. I actually got a degree in applied mathematics, and then after that, I furthered my studies in AI and machine learning and started my career as a machine learning engineer. But then later on, I switched to working as a web developer using React mainly. And then I joined a company that uses Flutter in one of their apps, and they asked me to give it a try. So now it's my 4th year already in using Flutter every day in my work. And that's also when I started to give talks to share about the Flutter goodness with everyone. So here I will quickly show you some screenshots of the apps I built before. So this one is a Coffee Bean online shopping app. So you can browse different types of coffee beans, view their packaging, selecting different variants, and then check out. It's a pretty standard e-commerce app. And the next one is my personal project. So I built a Reddit client with streams and blog, which is a state management library in Flutter. And here you can scroll through the feed, apply different filters, swipe to upvote, save, and share. You can also log into your profile and view your own posts and comments. So for those who are interested, I have this on GitHub, so you can check it out. Okay, now for those who are here but doesn't know Flutter yet, I will give a short 2 minutes intro of Flutter. Let's go. So Flutter is an open source library made by Google for building multi-platform applications, which was started in 2017, and they released their first stable version in December 2018. So technically, it's not a new framework anymore. And Flutter is written in Dart. So Dart is an object-oriented language. It is strongly typed, and it can be compiled both just in time and ahead of time. And in fact, Flutter is using the just in
Nahiramin
time
ko to? O meron
compilation
sa taas
so that
ba?
they can
Yung
do
sabi?
the hot reloading, hot
Hiramin
restart,
ko na lang.
this kind of stuff. And they use the ahead of time to give better optimization during release time. And up until today, Flutter has received more than 147,000 GitHub stars, which surpassed React Native, which has 106,000 stars and has more than 1,000 contributors. And part of the reason why Flutter is so popular is that it really makes developers more productive. They can achieve the same result faster. And once they know that they can learn faster, code faster, and ship faster, that's why there are a lot of companies who also start to adopt it. And also because of this popularity, it's much easier to find resources online. You can find a lot of tutorials. There are a lot of Stack Overflow questions answered. So, and then you also get support from Google developer experts like myself. Okay, so I hope that gives you enough motivation to kickstart your journey to become a Flutter expert. So now I'm here to tell you how you can move on from here. Okay, we all start somewhere, and I will need your help to tell me at which point of the journey are you at. Okay, for the first one, non-technical roles, please raise your hand if you are a student or you are not a programmer, you haven't had a coding experience before. Anyone? Students? Okay, quite a lot of hands. Thank you so much. Next, how about a software developer? So maybe you are a fresh grad, you have a computer science degree, or you have already worked in software development before, but you don't have a Flutter experience. Anyone? Oh, I actually see more hands than just now. Okay, thank you. How about Flutter beginners? Being a beginner means you have tried to learn a bit of Dart and Flutter, but you are still trying to learn how to make a fully functional app. Beginners? Okay, I got a few hands. All right, now Flutter intermediate. Any intermediate user here? You have built a few projects maybe, and you know how to code a fully functional app. Okay, I see one hand. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, now the goal is to get you to be at this stage, Flutter Advanced user. So at this stage, hopefully you will know how things work behind the scenes, how to optimize things, how to set up the whole pipeline from building to deployment. And also at this stage, you will be picking up more challenging features and how to make sure that they perform at its best. So we'll start from the first stage. And this is if you are a student or with someone with no coding experience, and someone who is ready to learn Dart and Flutter. Okay, so frankly speaking, it would be difficult to skip this stage because if you don't have a basic foundation in object-oriented language, then you will probably have 1,000 questions in your mind when you want to learn Dart. So then you end up wasting a lot the asynchronous programming part, which is the futures. And for people who are coming from a non-now safe language, please make sure to check out the now safety feature. And after the language tour, you can check out the effective Dart for best practices. And I found a YouTube video that give you a very quick overview of the Dart concepts that you will most likely need in Flutter. So if you're impatient, you can check out that video. And then while you are learning, you can also practice and try things out on Dartpad. And the rest of it, don't have to worry, you can learn while using Flutter. Okay, now before we start, let's check if you actually have a machine that can build and run your Flutter app. So say if you are using a Windows machine, then once you install Flutter, you can use it to build to Android, web, or Windows. And then for Linux, similar, you can build to Android, web, or Linux. And if you are like me, you have a Mac, then you can build to almost all platforms except for Linux. Okay, just now I talked a bit about the idea, but I would only suggest this tool because this tool, it has the plugins that can help you to find errors, to detect the syntax errors. So you have the VS Code and Android Studio. As for me, as a web developer before, I have used VS Code in the past, so I just continue to use that. And if you are coming from an Android developer and you are someone who's familiar with the IntelliJ, then maybe you can try the Android Studio. Also, at this stage, you can explore the Flutter DevTools a bit for some basic stuff, like inspect the layouts and the widget tree.
I'm not going to do it by myself. I'll go up and I'll start the presentation.
Widgets everywhere. So you will also need to learn some basic widgets in order to build a simple app that shows the UI, the layout, and navigation. And so the basic widgets that you should learn about are the scaffold, list view, containers, buttons, tags, and so on. Some of these, like the columns, rows, and stack, are the most essential layout widgets that you will use. And flex and expanded are like the flex property in CSS that you can use it to create more responsive layouts. And yeah, and then there's also a YouTube video that I found that help you to break down the concept of building layouts in Flutter. So by the end of get something that you can show off to your friends and
Is that
clients.
cool with you?
Yeah, I'll let the team know.
Are you sure?
Okay,
this is a good
talking
idea?
about structuring your code, just start simple.
There will be
Like, don't have to be too ambitious at this point. And for starters, you can split each class into its own file.
way you want.
And for other styles of structuring, you can also group them into folders by functionality or group by features, but those you can learn later.
What it will be quite nice if I bring up the chairs myself.
Do you know, just by
So,
knowing
the
how
chairs
to
are
use
there.
the widgets that
I'll come
I
down, I'll
showed
just
you
get the chairs
earlier,
and bring them up.
it's almost 80% of what you would use to create a fancy looking UI
I want to show
like
you
this.
why I'm not afraid of
It's quite
work.
amazing,
Oh,
right?
right, okay. I need to pick them up.
By the way,
Okay.
these screenshots
Cool.
are from the
Yeah.
Flutterway,
Are you
which
sure this is
has
a good
their
idea,
YouTube
or am
channel
I
that
going
does
to
speed coding,
completely
and
off
also they
track?
very frequently push new repositories of their UI
So there
code.
will be a
So
time
sometimes when I
limit.
need to
Yeah,
get
it's
some
gonna be
ideas
max
on
15
how
minutes.
to
Absolute
implement
max,
a
sorry.
complex looking design,
Absolute
I
max
often
15
go to them
minutes.
and check out
Okay.
their GitHub.
Yeah. So 15 minutes, but in case that you're
Okay, now we are ready to
not
move
aware of
on
the time, there
from
will
being a beginner
people
to a more
there
intermediate
flashing
user.
for the same thing.
Delightful.
So what's beyond Hello World? At this stage, you can
I
aim to
need to do
build
anything
a
else?
fully functional app, which means you will be dealing
Are we
with
good?
real data.
Yeah?
You'll be
You're
learning
doing a
more
great
Dart
job.
tricks,
Really, really
also
good,
about state
sweetheart.
management,
I hope there will
testing,
be also
architecture,
on the
localizations, and so on.
I can't wait.
And next, we'll look into each item one by one.
It's going to be quite.
Okay, first dealing with data. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the
Sorry, should I be
immutability.
more professional?
So for best practice, you will want to make sure that the data that you are passing around your app is immutable. So let's say when some property has changed, like let's say the name of the user has updated, then you want to create a new copy of that data object instead of just changing the name in place. And you might have seen the copy width if you have already explored into Flutter a bit. That allows you to override the color of the text style when you are using in Flutter. You can use the same trick on your data objects. There is also a community package called Freeze that can help you to do that. And sometimes you also need to check if two objects are equal based on their attributes, not by its own hash. So if you don't have a package, what we need to do is to override the equality operator, which can be a lot of boilerplate. So if you use a package called equatable, it can help you to remove those boilerplate. And then for networking, you most likely have to communicate with REST APIs, right? Then packages like HTTP and DIO can help to satisfy those needs. And if let's say you want to customize the headers, you want to have interceptors, you want to do some error handling, it's mostly covered in the package. And if you just want to practice and you don't actually have a REST API to talk to, you can also use the JSON placeholder, because that one, it can gives you mock response. And then finally, after you have got the data from your REST API, you need to serialize or deserialize them. So you also need to learn about the JSON parsing. How do you parse the JSON received from there? How do you convert a data object to JSON in order to post something to the REST API? And then the second part is there's also the local storage, because sometimes you want to make data to be persistent after user has quit your app and then they start again, you want to keep some data there. Then you will need a package that helps you to read and write to the user device storage. And share preferences is such a plugin that wraps the platform-specific solution so that you can just write the code once, and then it will help you to manage the local storage across different platforms like iOS, Android, and web. And then you can also explore more on the Hive and SQLite, which I won't talk much about. And finally, you have a lot of Firebase service. So I heard that there's a Firebase talk today. So maybe he will share with you about the services there. But those that are relevant to Flutter app is, let's say, push notifications, remote config, dynamic links, analytics, authentication, and so on. So it's quite a lot to cover, but you don't have to learn everything. Just be selective. Only when you come across a use case, then you start to get into it. Okay, now we are probably ready for more of that. And to me, one of the most important concept to grasp is streams. So what is stream? A stream is a sequence of asynchronous data. And you can imagine the streams as data flowing down the river, waiting for someone to grab it or receive it. And that's what the stream in that, it actually sends data events for a listener to grab. So with the Dart streams, you can send one data event at a time, while the other parts of your app can listen for those events. Such events can be collections, maps, or any other type of data. They can also send errors. So and then when you need to stop the stream, you can also stop it. It's a very powerful concept. Now let's talk about state management. In fact, this is the most difficult part to talk about because every person has a different opinion as to which approach is more intuitive to them. And new packages and updates keep popping up every now and then. So it's hard to say now which package is the best to use. So here I just list down some of the packages that are more popular in the community. And among them are provider, blog, riverpod. So personally, I'm using blog because it's a pattern that me and my team are already familiar with, and they use Stream. So and then we like the reactive programming paradigm a lot. That's why we use that. But you can actually try to explore the other packages if they make sense to you. And one of the latest package that I found is riverpod. Now they have the second version that just came out, and I find that it's also something interesting to look into. So yeah, instead of just telling you which package is the best to use, maybe I would mention some of the criteria that would help you to decide which package is right for you. So what should you look out for when you are choosing a package? First is the documentation, right? So you want to see if the documentation is comprehensive enough. Does it have a lot of explanations? It comes with examples and even covers the more advanced use cases so that you know, okay, when you want to achieve something, then you can rely on their documentation. And next, if the package is actually up to date, so of course, you don't want to select a package that is not actively maintained, because then when there are new version of Flutter SDK, new version of Dart, then suddenly it doesn't support anymore. Then you have to switch package, then it will be a pain. And next is the support. How much support do you get from the authors and the community? And this also includes like the tutorials. If many people are using it, they will post tutorials. And let's say in their GitHub issues or the Stack Overflow, is the authors actively answering questions? This is also something to look out for. And if the package is stable, so you will check in the GitHub list of issues and see if they don't have too many issues open and if they are free of the major bugs. And finally, sponsors. The money aspect is always very important when it comes to the stability of a package. So you also want to check if this project is backed or sponsored by big companies. Okay, then it comes to testing. What I repeated 3 times because it's really, really important. And so you have the unit test, widget test, and integration test. Testing. Okay. So the concept to write tests is simple, but actually writing them is very difficult. So throughout the process, I have learned a lot, like from good resources that I found is like the blog examples, because on their repository they have a lot of examples and they actually comes with the unit test, so you can check them out. And I also find that the Real World Flutter by tutorial book also covers a lot on testing, and it's covering also a more advanced use case, so you can also check that. And for myself, I have also talked about testing before, so I have a YouTube video and also a repository on my GitHub. You can check it out. Okay, now there are a lot of different architectures and different ways of structuring your course, but these 2 are my favorite. So one is MVVM, and then there's the feature by package. And for this, I've stolen a slide from my previous Google I/O standard. So for the MVVM, it's simple. So you separate the view from your business logic, and they are usually good for small projects. And then when your code base becomes good, then your view model may start to bloat. But then within the view model, you can also take a step further. You can also split them into each feature. That's why we have the feature by package. So what you do is, from the view, you request data from your view model, and then your view model will request data from the model. and then they return data to the view model, and finally back to the view. So they don't talk to each other directly, but it's rather independent. Okay, now we are taking things even further and getting more advanced. So how do I make my app even better? I have to admit there are a lot of things that you have to know in order to become a good Flutter developer. There are of course a lot more you can learn, but these are the things that I think help me a lot, and they don't come in a particular order. Oops, let's go back. Okay, so first is RX Start. It will come handy when you want to control how a stream of events is processed. For example, if you want to do the debouncing or throttling, and then you have profiling, animations, canvas, CI/CD, publishing your app, native programming, and so on. So I want to be selective here. I just choose the four of these items. So RStart, why is it important? Because usually an app is full of the asynchronous events. You have to handle the user inputs, you have to fetch and send data, and then those sometimes will throw you error messages, and then you have to handle those exceptions. So if you want to handle them in a more scalable way, many developers would prefer using the reactive programming principles. And to apply the reactive programming principle in the Dart world, you use Dart. And a very common use case is debouncing. So let's say you have a screen and you want to allow user to search for an address with the Google Places API. But if let's say you are firing the Google Place API on every keystroke, it's going to be very expensive. So what we can do is we can debounce the user input. We wait for a short duration for the user to stop typing, say 300 to 500 milliseconds. Then after you have wait for the user to stop typing, then you send out the API call that will be more cost effective. And then if you are dealing with data, if you are dealing with data that comes in the form of stream, for example, if you are using the Firestore service from Firebase, then you often deal with you have to know how to combine multiple streams together. And for this one, I found a good tutorial from Code with Andrea. I included the link here so you can check them out. And finally, there's also a more in-depth tutorial on RStart from codeco.com. Okay, then now we are at animations. So the type of animations that you might have to use are the loading animations, the transition animations. You know, these things are optional, but they can make your app look more interesting. They give user a sense of better, smoother experience with the transitions. And for this one, I would recommend you to look into Lottie. They come in the form of JSON, and you can get them from the marketplace.
Sorry,
There are also some
Can I lift
free
you up?
Lottie files that you can download, or you can also purchase them. Or if you are a more creative person and you know how to use Adobe After Effects, you can also create one yourself, and then you just change that to that package. So I told you about, okay, the good stuff that it comes with when you are creating an app with very good CI. So you have the build flavor set up, you have the translation set up, you have the linting, the project structure, the commands, and the alliance. So, like, let's say you are using the featured by package. So that in your project, you have a lot of nested packages, and then you don't want to run each, let's say, Flutter Puppet, Flutter test in every of the nested packages. Then with the very good CI, you can run that recursively. So you have the packages get recursive, you have the test recursive, and you can also define the minimum coverage so that you will fail if the coverage drops below 100. And then you also have logging. And they also created a CI/CD pipeline. If you're using GitHub Actions, then it's perfect. Okay, finally, I'll end with the resources that I love. So for those who are still moving from beginners to intermediate, then I will recommend the Flutter Apprentice book. I think it's not free. It was free for a few months when it just started. I did a book club back then. Then I also found that this YouTube channel and Medium is very useful for grasping the more important concepts on Flutter. And then for intermediate to advanced, there are also quite a lot of resources, like the real-world Flutter tutorial books that I talked about earlier. And generally, in FlutterCode.com, you can find a lot of them. And Code with Andrea also has a few courses available. And finally, the Flutter Vikings course that you can find on YouTube. And then please remember, if you really can't find the Flutter, you can just ask those specific questions on Stack Overflow, because the community is rich, so powerful, they are very kind. Like the moment you post a question, I think within a few minutes or a few hours you'll get an answer. So just remember to ask the question in a more specific way, then you will get the answer. And for general news and updates, you can check out, so in Twitter, there are a lot of Twitter accounts that you can follow. You can follow those Flutter enthusiasts. There's also Discord channels that you can join. I think there's one called Flutter, there's also one called Flutter Dev. I don't remember which one is the one, but then both are pretty active. So I like to close with this: no matter where you start, eventually you can make your ideas become real with the right tools and effort. Happy Fluttering. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcy. Hoping to see some people here use Flutter for their next projects. Do you need?
Sorry, you're bringing up my school here.
Okay, so just a reminder that we're still giving away Devfest shirts. Just post your photos or videos today using our official hashtags, hashtag GDG, hashtag Devfest, GDG Manila, hashtag Devfest 2022, and hashtag Devfest so we're going to give away Devfest shirts for the posts that are creative or witty or anything that we like. All right, so let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is an ML specialist at Google Cloud. He works with digital natives across the region to help them build scalable and reliable solutions on Google Cloud. Before joining Google, he has worked at multiple Southeast Asian unicorns and global multinational companies as data scientist and ML engineer. He graduated from Nanyang Technological University with a degree in computer science and dual specialization in artificial intelligence and data science and analytics. Here to talk about ML Ops, building scalable ML systems with Vertex AI. Please give it up for Abhishek Bagwa. Hi, Abhishek.
Hello everyone, how are you all feeling? All good? Having lunch? Awesome. So, welcome to DevFest. As you all know, I'm Abhishek. You can call me. All right. So, I'm a machine learning architect at Google Cloud, and yeah, I help organizations basically build machine learning systems, right? And today we'll be talking about ML ops in general. So we see a lot of organizations basically trying to understand what exactly is ML ops, right? So how do you go from building a model in your Jupyter notebook or something to actually productionizing it, building an application, and adopting machine learning in a wide scale, right? So machine learning is hard. Right? So, as we all know, we have all done this, which is attended the basic machine learning course and thought we can all build a model that will predict stock prices and we can all become rich. But unfortunately, so we have also faced this, which is sometimes we understand why our code works, sometimes we don't understand why our code works. So it's super hard. It's like ML is very interesting. And there's always this case where with the same name, you have multiple different versions of things. It's very hard to version objects in machine learning. So how do we basically refine this entire pipeline? Is using machine learning operations or MLOps. So there was a study done recently which shows that 72% of organizations that began a machine learning project did not productionize it at all. So that's almost 72%, right? And they have not deployed a single machine learning model in production. So that's a staggering amount of organizations. So we want to understand why this is and how do we basically avoid it and learn from their experiences so that as developers, as technology leaders, we can help our companies to basically adopt machine learning in a fruitful way and get the best insights out of that. So developing the model is just the fun bit of it, which is just writing the ML code, right? So that's all we all know, which is developing the ML models. Do it, model.fit, model.trait. That's the fun part. But it actually requires so much more. So at Google, we actually did this study and compared what's the amount of code that was just ML models and what's the amount of code for everything else, like serving infrastructure or monitoring, data verification, things like that, right? So we found out that in any application where we use machine learning, only 5% of the code is actual model code. The rest of it is the operations around it, right? So we'll talk a bit more about how this entire thing is basically orchestrated and how you can make use of it right from the scratch to build MLOps. So MLOps is defined as a set of standardized processes and capabilities for building, deploying, and operationalizing machine learning systems rapidly and reliably. So the two keywords here are rapidly and reliably. So you want to basically have a very set standard which you want to iterate very quickly. So as a data scientist, you want to run more and more model architectures with different data slices, with different sets of hyperparameters to essentially get the best results. But you also want to do this reliably so that once you deploy the model in production, you don't face issues like skew, drift, and things like that, right? Which is essentially very harmful for your end users. So, what exactly is ML and how do we come here? Is if you change random stuff till the time your program works, it's called hacky. But if you do it fast enough, it's called machine learning, and you get 4 times your salary. So that's ML. But okay, in all seriousness now. So MLOps is basically, you can think of it as DevOps, but for ML, right? So there are DevOps teams who already do a lot of the automation in terms of deployments, in terms of delivery, right? That's what you essentially adopt into machine learning. And then you want to build reliable CI/CD pipelines. You want to build dashboards that help you monitor your production environments. And you basically want to do automated testing. So MLOps is the same, but you apply it on three aspects, which is data, models, and code. So it's on all three aspects. So engineering is ML engineering. When we define ML engineering, we take into concept these three things, right? Which is one is of course data engineering. So your data engineers essentially need to do a lot of the processing, and ensure that the data is clean, so that the data scientists can actually take this data, build a good model out of it. And then once that model is built, we want to make sure that the application engineering team is able to deploy it. So from an application engineering side, the data scientist needs to understand what's the business context that they're solving for and build a model according to that. So it basically needs all the following personas, right? Which is a data scientist, a data engineer, a DevOps engineer, and a product manager in order to build a good MLOps system. So MLOps is a feature rather than just a sort of feature set. So let's talk a bit more about the processes and tools around this. So this is how a typical MLOps lifecycle looks like. When you extract your data, you code your model, you train the model, you deploy it, you evaluate it, you tune it, and then you deploy it. And once it's deployed, you generate the predictions out of it, which is your application side, and then you also have monitoring it. So if you think about this and you break it down into these two aspects, right? So the first three components are like your CI/CD aspect in a standard DevOps culture, and the last three aspects are like your CD or your continuous deployments, right? So there are multiple specialized tools that are also available for this. There's things like Airflow, BentoML, DVC that allow you to do like version controlling of your data. There's also end-to-end open source softwares that allow you to do this. So specifically, we are going to be concentrating on a couple of things today, which is Kubeflow, which allows you to build pipelines end-to-end, machine learning pipelines on Kubernetes. There's also TensorFlow Extended, which is the Google developed version to build pipelines. And finally, we're going to focus on Vertex AI, which is the end-to-end system for data science and ML engineering at Google. So, what exactly is Vertex AI? So, Vertex AI is, you can think of it as a unified platform for all of your data science and machine learning units, right? So, right from AutoML, which is our no-code solution. So, you can do things like train a vision model, train a language model using AutoML. Hands up if you have ever used BigQuery. Any BigQuery users? Okay, I see a couple of them. So yeah, if you have used BigQuery, we also have BigQuery ML, which allows you to do machine learning by just using SQL, right? You don't even need to know Python, you don't even need to know TensorFlow, nothing. As long as you know SQL, as long as you know what's the business outcome you're solving for, you can just write a couple of lines of SQL code and enable machine learning. You also, if let's say your organization uses Spark or other solutions, right? So we definitely have integrations with that as well. And of course, as an end-to-end MLOps platform, we provide things like training, prediction, pipelines, workbench, feature store, most importantly, right? So we'll talk a bit more about all of these aspects. So this is how the end-to-end solution looks like, right? But again, this gets super complicated. We want to sort of boil it down into the core aspect itself. So traditionally, machine learning looks something like this, where you load your data set into a Jupyter notebook or wherever it is. Then you do some sort of data pre-processing. There's like, you can flatten it, you can convert the data types, you can parse data and things like that to extract more features. Then you do feature engineering. So based on your specialized domain knowledge, you can add in more features. You can do things like encoding, embedding to generate these features, etc. Then finally, you move on to the good part, that's creating the actual model itself. So you select a model architecture. Let's say you select a neural network, right? And then you tune its hyperparameters like number of layers, number of neurons, all those things. Then you actually train the model, and then you basically, let's say, if you choose things like ensemble learning, which is, let's say, you want to stack up multiple decision trees to do it, you stack up the outputs from multiple models, and then finally, when your model is ready to be served, you deploy it as a REST API, and then you finally get predictions by hitting that REST API, right? So how does Google Cloud make it easier? So we give something called as AutoML, right? So Google Cloud has something called as AutoML. So all you have to do is you give in your data set, and that's it. Well, Google Cloud's AutoML basically take care of the entire aspect of the machine learning workflow, which is understanding your data, cleaning your data, creating features, creating custom features, handcrafted features. It also trains your model, it also deploys your model, and all you get is a single endpoint that you can hit to get the actual data set, right? So how does it look like? It looks something like this, where you just go here, and if you go to the Vertex AI dashboard, you can click on create a data set, and it asks you what sort of a task that you're essentially solving for. So let's say if you want to solve for an image task, there's things you can do like image classification, object classification, image segmentation. Let's say you just have tabular data. You want to do a simple regression. So all you have to do is select regression. Or if you want to do forecasting, like churn prediction, sales forecasting, any of the use cases, right? So you just select the appropriate use case. There's also things for video. So if you want to do like video action recognition, video object tracking, everything can be done with AutoML. So once you do that, it's just one click away. You create a data set, you create a model, it automatically trains it and gives you an endpoint. So we look at this a bit more later as well. So if you think that traditionally, a lot of the AutoML models are performing in a very average way. They're not great. Which is why we want to understand how does AutoML actually work in real life environments. And we, just for fun, we ran AutoML on different real-time Kaggle competitions, right? So some of the most famous Kaggle competitions are the KTD Cup for donors choosing and the All-State Claim Severity. So if you see that the first place score and the AutoML score are so much closer in real life, right? While a first place score is gotten by a data scientist who has like 10 years experience. They are expert data scientists. They're probably the best data scientists in the world, right? While our AutoML is basically just training on the data set that you just provided 2 hours ago. So we are able to perform at scale with the world's best data scientists and take a fraction of the time to actually come to the conclusions that an expert data scientist came to. So what does this mean for you as an organization, right? So you're able to extract the most value as a developer and reduce your time to feature development. So this essentially compresses your feature development time, which ensures that you focus more on building the actual product rather than focus time on building ML models, right? So that means you can get the actual insights out of your model at a rapid pace than usual. So let's talk a bit more about what steps actually are there in the ML ops cycle. So if any of you are interns here, any interns? No interns? Okay. How many of you have interned at places as a data scientist or an ML engineer? Okay, I see a couple of hands. Okay. So nowadays everyone wants to do ML, right? And especially interns, being an intern myself, I always ask, like, as coming from a software engineering background, I want to understand how do I test the code? There's no way to test the code, right? You just run the model hundreds of times. So it's ridiculous, but that's the thing. So that's what we want to demystify, because there is a way you can test the code. There is the way to actually build the process for this, right? So again, going back to our favorite diagram here, which is the MLOps life cycle, we observe that there are multiple parts. So we'll quickly touch upon the different parts and how you can adopt this within your organization. So at the backbone of everything is pipelines. And we recommend using Kubeflow pipelines for everything because Kubeflow is open source and it's the most scalable way of building anything related to machine learning. So Kubeflow is built with open source pipelines, and Vertex are built with Kubeflow pipelines or KFX. So Vertex pipelines are just a pipeline runner, so it does not matter which pipelines library you use, you can still use it, right? And it's completely serverless. So what exactly does a pipeline contain? So you can think of a pipeline as a Docker container that runs multiple processing steps, right? For example, if you want to do data preparation, think of it as one separate Docker container. If you have all these containers, you get portability and scale. So let's say you want to prepare your data on your local system and you want to run your training on Vertex AI, you can now do that. It's very simple because your entire pipeline has been templatized using Kubeflow. So again, a component within Kubeflow can invoke other services as well, right? For example, if your data set is within Google Cloud Storage, where you want to refer it back, it could be a CSV file, it could be an image file, whatever it is. From a containerized task, you can actually invoke these other services as well. And of course, it's very easily done through the Python SDK. And the main thing to think about in a Kubeflow pipeline is this thing called as a job. So a job is basically an input parameter into Kubeflow, and it has some sort of a set of parameters, right? So let me show you what it essentially looks like. So it looks something like this. So before we go on to that, so I have actually trained an AutoML model, right? So there's a model here. You can see that the version is called 1. I think it's a bit. Okay. So you can see that I have a model which does pneumonia, right? So it checks an X-ray for pneumonia and gives a label to say whether a person has pneumonia or not. So this model is deployed in production and it has a REST API. So I'll quickly show you how it looks like and we'll come back to pipelines there. So within Vertex AI, you're able to basically see once your model is trained, you're able to see the precision scores or whatever evaluation metric that you choose to do, right? So here I'm using the PR curve to basically measure my evaluation metric, and you're able to get what's the size of your data set, how much was used in training, how much was used in testing, all that along with, let's say, a confusion matrix, if it is a classification task, right? Now, if I want to do online testing of this, right, because I have deployed this model to an endpoint, I can just hit the endpoint. Let me show you quickly how that looks like. So this is an X-ray image of a normal. This is an X-ray image of a normal chest. So this person does not have pneumonia. So you can see that it also shows you the labels, for example, normal and pneumonia, and it shows you the confidence score. So the model is able to predict with 90% probability that this person does not have pneumonia. So that's pretty great, right? So let's try for a person who actually has pneumonia. That looks something like this. So this is an affected X-ray, right? So you can see again that my model labels have changed. So now the model is able to predict with 85% or 87% probability that this person has pneumonia. So the applications of this is massive. And the good thing is, usually this process of deploying it as an application takes a very long time because you have to build a web server, you have to build the inputs, you have to build the outputs, you have to handle the actual saved model and everything. But within Vertex, it's just one click. So from your Jupyter notebook, you just click on deploy to endpoint and you get a brand new endpoint that's able to do this, right? So why is this important in terms of pipelines? Let me get back to that now. So this is how a Kubeflow pipeline essentially looks like, right? So you can see on the right-hand side, there are multiple components. So my first task would be to create a data set itself. So to create that pre-processed data set, I would define my pipeline and say, a pipeline, you can just think of it as a Python function. That's all it is. with this decorator on top that tells that it's a pipeline, right? So it's a simple Python function, and it has some inputs, it returns some outputs. So here, let's say I'm creating a function called pre-process data, and it takes in some inputs, right? For example, what's the project ID, what is the URL of my input images, what's my URL of my output images, how does it look like? So once that pre-processing is done, I actually want to create a data set that my model is able to train on. So again, I'll use the whatever schema that Vertex provides me, whatever library Vertex provides me to do that, right? Once that is done, then I write my training function, which is done by this component here, which is called AutoML training job run op. So there are multiple ops or operations that you can choose. So here I'm using AutoML image training op. But let's say you build a TensorFlow model, you can use a TensorFlow training op, or you can use any training op in general, right? And then finally you do a model deploy op, which actually deploys the model. So once you templatize this, all you need to do is compile it, and you'll be done. You're good to go. Right? So you get an endpoint, which once you make a REST API call to the endpoint, you're able to get the predictions. So it's very straightforward and it's very easy to deploy. So this essentially allows you to integrate from an end-to-end platform, right? From an end-to-end platform, once you can integrate it now within your application very easily. So it's no longer on your book. It's at a high level now, where it's easier for your application engineers, for your DevOps engineers to actually integrate ML into your application. So it essentially reduces the middle part of it, right? Which is your data scientists and ML engineers from feature engineering to hyperparameter publishing is all removed, and it's just a simple pipeline. So once we are done with that, we want to understand more about the data store itself. So let me give you an example. So imagine you have a data science team of 10 people, and let's say one person generates the feature embeddings for your data set. Now, once that embeddings have been generated, if another data scientist generates a new set of embeddings for the same set of data, they won't get the same features, because the way, if whatever model architecture is going to be used or whatever seed they will use, it differs a lot. So what you want to do is have consistent features across all your particular data science teams, so that everyone can share these features very easily. Right? So that's why we have Vertex Feature Store. So Feature Store actually allows get this repository of data. So if one person generates that feature, spend their compute their time on creating new feature sets, they can just use the feature set. For example, if let's say your application wants to understand, give some predictions for some user X. Now, if you have a million users, and if you want to get the features for user X only, it's a very operationally intensive task. But with Vertex Feature Store, you're able to get O of n lookups. So O of 1 lookups, which means it's very easy to get fast lookups, and it's able to be served at extremely low latency. And finally, of course, because everyone is using the same feature set, it also helps to eliminate all the training skew and the training drift. So this means your ML ops is done in a very consistent way. So the next part of it is actually coding the model. I think this most of you would be familiar with. We use Python, we use TensorFlow, we use PyTorch, whatever it is, that's up to you. Again, that's very straightforward. You can also use AutoML, as I just showed you. You can also use BigQuery ML to do this itself. Right? So if you have ever used Jupyter Notebooks, please raise your hand. Okay. That's quite a good amount of people. If you have used Colab, Google Colab, okay, that's a lot more. Awesome. Awesome. So Vertex Workbench is very similar to both of these products, right? But it's a managed notebook. So what exactly that means is, if you have used Colab, you know that you can attach a GPU or a GPU to it to increase your training time. Now, what happens is after 4 hours or 6 hours, the TPU times out, which means that the resources dedicated in a Colab notebook is actually not yours. So it's actually shared by multiple people across the world. Right? But with Vertex Workbench, you're able to get dedicated resources to do your actual training, serving, whatever it is, data analysis, whatever you want to do, you can do that with Vertex Workbench. It's just a managed Jupyter Hub or a Jupyter Lab, right? And it gives you this fully controlled admin panel which you can use. So if you want to use BigQuery or Spark, it does not matter. If you want to use Python or R, it does not matter. So Vertex Workbench supports a wide variety of languages and frameworks. And it also helps you reduce your costs at the end of the day, right? Because it's able to do something called as live switching and idle shutdown. So let's say if your notebook is running and the model training itself is finished, but usually how it remains is that your laptop is on or your VM is on or whatever it is on, and a lot of the resources are being wasted. So with Vertex Workbench, you can actually trigger this idle shutdown, which monitors your resources and automatically shuts down and gives you extreme cost optimization. So you can also, again, use it with BigQuery or Spark or whatever it is, the underlying data storage you use it for, right? We also support Git integration for notebooks. So this is extremely important because Git is usually not available from the notebook's perspective. So you're able to understand what's the outputs that's changed, what's the actual code that's changed. So that is a very nifty feature if you want to do quick lookups from what's changed from the previous version. Then we go into the actual training itself. So the model training is essentially of two parts. Where you have the experimentation phase, which is what data scientists usually do, which is they understand the business problem, they define the business problem, then they use the data, they explore the data, they clean the data, they build a model, and it solves the business problem. But then there's the other part of it, which is implementing or the formalization, right? Which is the actual productionizing of it. So once a data scientist understands which model to use, what's the hyperparameter set, they will essentially store those details in the metadata or the artifact repository. And then once that model is built, they would save the model which has been trained into the model registry itself. Right? So that looks something like this in my case. So within Vertex AI, you have a model repository that shows you what are the different models that have been trained, which of them have been deployed on Vertex AI, and what's the actual task it is that they're solving. For example, I have tasks that do like object detection, image classification, forecasting, entity extraction. So a bunch of different tasks. But I know exactly which model is mine and which one is actually deployed onto Vertex AI, so which is productionized, which is not productionized. Right? So it's very straightforward in terms of that. And there's also something called as Vertex Visual, which has been developed by Google Brain. This allows you to tune your hyperparameters at a much faster pace, right? So this is almost 80% faster than the normal ways of doing it. So we support grid search, we support random search, we support Bayesian search. So any sort of algorithm that you want to use, Visual automatically supports these out of the box, right? So you can just include Visual with your model training, and it automates the entire process of tuning your hyperparameters that allows you to reduce your experimentation time. Finally, you also have the endpoints. So once you have trained the model, you would essentially, let's say you train a TensorFlow model, you would Dockerize it, and you would deploy it as an endpoint. So we have something called this Vertex endpoints that allows you to do one-click deployments from your Jupyter notebook itself. So it could be either an AutoML model, or it could be a TensorFlow or PyTorch or any other framework supported. And it essentially allows you to do things like splitting the traffic. So let's say you already have a model in production that's serving traffic, right? And your data scientist just developed a new product, new model. So you want to do an A/B testing. So you want to split the traffic between multiple models and understand whether the new model is performing well or not. So if it is performing well, then you can reduce the traffic to the old model and switch over completely to the new model. So this split traffic testing and things like that are supported directly within Vertex, right? And it's completely serverless, So it automatically auto scales as and when needed. So let's say if your inference is taking too long, it automatically add another node to basically increase your efficiency and reduce your time to inference, right? And this is when we usually try to put the models from your Jupyter notebooks into an actual endpoint which can serve traffic. So that's the model deployment aspect, which is where you build your model and save it as a Docker container, and then as a Docker file, and then this file is built, and then you get a Docker image, and then you deploy it to real time, right? So the A/B testing is also called as experimentation. So you would have a production model and a candidate model and split the traffic accordingly. Awesome. So there's two types of predictions that you can actually do. There's something called as a batch prediction, which means for the entire bulk of your data, you are able to do prediction at one shot. And the other type is called as online serving, which means this is done in real time to the user. So if a user this is done in real time, where you want to host it, that will essentially call the ML model that is being deployed on Vertex. And the operational challenges just don't end there. Right? So the other sort of challenges which we see is the skew when training and serving. So this is where feature store essentially allows you to remove most of the skew. So as you can see from the meme, even though it's the same person, their characteristics differ. So similar to that, even though your data is the same, the data characteristics will be very different. So this essentially means that whenever there's bad data going into a model, your model predictions will automatically be bad. So you want to avoid this and basically alleviate the skew from an operational perspective. And Vertex AI monitoring essentially allows you to do this very easily when you automatically store these features within Vertex feature store. And finally, we come to monitoring, which is the most important thing, which is you always need to be on the lookout for drift, for skew, not only for your old models, but also for your new retrained models. So this is super important, right? And you can do that with Vertex monitoring that allows you to do things like skew detection, drift detection, feature attribution detection. These are some of the most important core concepts that you would need before operationalizing it. Right? And when you put it all together, this is how it would look like on Google Cloud. Right? So it's not simple, but at the end of the day, this is something that you need to do as and when you grow. Because as organizations, if you don't adopt these sorts of operational challenges, then there's no way you can scale to the level where you can serve millions and millions of users and have that sort of business impact at the end of the day. Which is why MLOps is a very crucial concept. And is that all? No, actually. So again, it can differ a lot. Right? So I know I condensed a lot of the topics into a 40-minute talk, but this can actually feel like a lot because it is actually a lot. And these are some of the constraints that you need to understand when you're trying to build this. Right? And definitely, what we want to solve with Vertex AI is these four core tenets, right? Which is have a unified data science platform for all users. So this is very important because you want to basically reduce the number of things that all the developers are using. So if you know in a normal software engineering context, if different teams use different languages, different frameworks to get their job done. But with ML, that is simply not possible because you want to understand the collaboration between the various teams that happen. So having a unified platform to do all these tasks is super important, and Vertex AI provides you that end-to-end platform to have this unified experience. And the second aspect of it is the infrastructure that is actually needed to run your ML models. Because machine learning is computationally very intensive, you may need a GPU, you may need TPUs, not just one, you may need multiple, right? And the good thing is that Google is one of the leaders in terms of infrastructure development, and we offer the right products that are needed for you to scale your entire infrastructure. And finally, you have the two important things, which is one is Vertex gives you the complete end-to-end MLOps experience. So with TFX and Vertex pipelines, you're able to orchestrate a very complex pipeline, right? So every product built in Google, if it uses machine learning, it has been pipelines using TFX. So every single machine learning product at Google uses TFX, right? Or the smaller ones, of course, use Kubeflow as well. But at the end of the day, Vertex supports both, which essentially allows you to get a complete end-to-end MLOps experience. And finally, by using Vertex AI, you also get access to the latest and greatest research from Google AI. So we have been pioneering research in terms of large-scale language models, in terms of variety of things, right, like image classification, neural networks. So we definitely continue to invest a lot in our AI research platform and will continue to do so. And by using Vertex, you're able to get the complete experience from this. So that's pretty much it. So if you have any more questions, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I'll be backstage.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Looking forward to more ML developers here on our crowd. Now, just a reminder for all our yellow sticker winners and Kahoot winners, you can claim your prizes here, just behind, just in front of our stage light. So we'll wait for you until the event is finished. Now, for this part of the event, we are joined by four amazing women in technology. But before that, let's ask our audience ulit kung magtatanong-tanong ulit tayo. So, ano? Okay. Sino dito ang mga nag-ML na before? ML po na machine learning, hindi mobile legends. Okay, sige. Alright, so, hi, what's your name?
I'm Armin po.
Hello po, Miss Armelin. Hello. Si Miss Armelin is our speaker for our next event po sa GDG Pampanga. That's for next week. So, Miss Armelin, what can you say about Abhishek's talk?
Actually, it was a very nice presentation for the beginners, especially those who are taking Google Cloud, the certification for professional machine learning engineer. Basically, kung makikita yung slides, it's a summary of that you should know for being able to know about Vertex AI, what is work, or how you deploy model through the Google Cloud. So basically, it's a really nice presentation. So thank you, Abhishek, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Armelin. Now, if you want to know more about Ms. Armelin and more on ML, you can check her on GDG DevFest 2022 Pampanga just next week, Saturday. All right, so I believe we're all set. We have our here on. So, for this part of the event, we are joined by four amazing women in technology. Here to moderate and introduce this amazing panel, please welcome Women Tech Makers Ambassador of GDG Manila, Justin De La Paz. Wait lang muna. Okay, so sino na yung mga nakapag-post na sa ating social media? Meron ba? Okay, are you feeling lucky? I think that we're still looking for our winners sa ating social media, so just please keep them coming. Also, we still have our food booths right outside, so if you want to taste, clips of your cotton candies and ice cream, our soybean curd. We still have labas. Kasi hindi heard with sugar syrup. So we're still waiting for our panel. And we're still giving away 15 GDG shirts. So keep the post coming. Okay, tanong ulit tayo from our audience. Okay, so sino dito yung galing sa breakout room kaninang morning? Ay, hello sir. Okay, so can you share to our plenary people ano yung napag-usapan sa breakout room?
First meeting, like sa first session po, is napag-usapan yung about Android, yung parang kami ng question and answer portion. So second naman po is more on the solution architecture, introduction po siya, tapos more on the more on the experiences po ng person.
Okay, so I believe it's with Saurabh, tama? The Android, and from Twitter, Singapore, ata si Saurabh. And of course, the introduction to solution architecture by Joanna, which is one of our registration heads for today's event. While we're still waiting, tingnan natin kung ano na yung mga social media posts. Hi, Rog! Kumusta naman yung mga posts?
Maraming story. So, nakapost sa Facebook. Para shirts and stickers.
Ay, oo nga pala. Meron pa palang sticker na kasama yung ating t-shirt. So, if you want those stickers for your mga peripherals and everything. Okay, so we're still looking for our speakers. While we're still waiting, nandito ba yung mga winners for nandito ba si Buko Juice? Sino si Buko Juice dito? O wala ka, hindi kita bibigyan. Ayun, Buko Juice, come on! Punta po dito sa harap. Pakilala ka namin. Dapat nilalabas natin yung totoong pangalan. Okay, so punta tayo dito sa gitna. Syempre, ito na ang ating winner for ng GDG jacket. No? Hello, Buko Juice. So ano pong real name niyo, sir?
My real name is Brickster John, so BJ.
Kaya naman pala Buko Juice. Ayan. So, Jonel, dito na yung natin. Si BJ. Nakuha mo lahat ng tanong kanina.
Yes.
Oh, iba pala to eh. Iba pala siya. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sino ba yung nanalo kanina? Ano yung second? Sino yung second place? No. Hindi. Letter D yung second, di ba? Do we? Something. Ayan. Can we see? What's your name po? Dave. And your username kanina sa Kahoot? Dave. Can I see your screenshot? Nakuha mo na yung shirts mo. Okay, nakuha niya na pala. Thank you so much. And for the third winner, sino yung kanina? Si Rory. Okay, hello sir. Nakuha niyo na yung shirt natin. Alright, nakuha na pala. Very good yung iba. Si BJ lang pala yung pasawal. Oh, na-call out. Client. Okay, ready na po ba tayo? Okay, mukhang hindi pa. Balikan natin ang ating mga vaccination card. Okay, raffle din daw tayo sa vaccination. Nandito po ba si Sean Eric LUC? Are you here? Sean Eric LUC? Wala po kung nasa breakout room nga siya. Okay. Alright. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Hi. So welcome back. Sorry for the hello. Yeah. So welcome back. And so we apologize for the delay, but for this part of the event, we are joined by four amazing women in technology here to moderate and introduce this amazing panel. Please welcome again our Women Tech Makers Ambassador of GDG Manila, Ms. Justin De La Paz. Give her a warm round of applause.
Hello everyone. Afternoon. So for today's session, medyo chill lang tayo and just we'll learn more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I have three amazing women here on stage. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for taking their time on a Saturday just to learn more about the Google technologies and more tech. And so again, my name is Justin. You can call me Jazz for short. I'm the Women Tech Makers Ambassador for GDG Manila. And for today, we'll be moderating a panel called Conversation on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Today's Workplace. So there has been a lot of things happening in the past year. So one of those is the pandemic, and we have been actively listening and adapting to the new strategies related to the social and economic inequalities. So a lot of companies also took actions already, and some still working on it. All of us want to transform how we fundamentally made a concerted and proactive effort to transform how we fundamentally operate in order to create positive, systemic change in the workplace and in the world. So first of all, according to Google, so the 2022 Diversity Annual Report, there are five concrete actions we took in 2021. So during the pandemic, we have been creating flexible, inclusive workplace where everyone can feel a sense of belongingness. So first of all is in hiring. The second action is retention and progression. Third is representation. So there's a lot of representation in the workplace, not just the gender equality, but also in different forms. Next is flexibility, and then lastly is belonging and impact. So today we have an amazing panel, the conversations on the importance and impact of the diversity, equity, and inclusion in today's workplace. We're going to be talking about how we can fully embrace and promote D&I in the workplace, and the benefits, the challenges, and the current efforts of other companies and organizations within the D&I space. So before we dive into the panel, I want to know who here are excited to learn more about D&I. Raise your hand. Okay, I can see some few hands or maybe nahihiya pa. And I think it should start with us. Okay, so just addressing people, not just hello guys, it should be hello everyone. Because not all the people that we are referring to are guys. So we want to make it more inclusive for everyone. So our goal for this session is to really understand better about D&I, discover what are the actions taken by different organizations in terms of creating a more diverse and inclusive workplace, address possible challenges when taking the first step, and at the end of this session, you will come away and start building a world where everyone can belong and no one is left behind, even beyond the tech industry. Okay, so let's introduce our first panel. We have Miss Julie Baha, currently Digital Delivery Manager at DXC Technology. And she's passionate about learning and contributing to people's personal and professional development. Before becoming an IT professional, she was teaching math and science in a prep academy and was culture and language assistant. So basically, Miss Julie, she shifted from the language and academy to the tech industry. And then we also have our second panel speaker. She is Miss Angeli, currently the APAC Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Lead Specialist for FACSET. In her role, she provides thought leadership, guidance, and consultation to APAC and India employees, HR partners, business leaders, and managers, while embedding best practices and innovative ideas to address the unique challenges in the region. And lastly but not the least is Ms. Jennifer Ann Mendoza. She is the co-founder of the Equity Collective PH, a startup based in Manila focused on supporting organizations and institutions in implementing diversity and inclusion initiatives, as well as a current member and engagement specialist of the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment. Okay, so first of all, let's give a round of applause for this amazing women. Okay, and good afternoon, ladies. Okay, so feel free to take off your mask if you're comfortable. So before we start, I just want to ask these beautiful ladies, how are you today?
Me first. Hi everyone, I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Hello everyone.
Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Jen. I'm doing great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here. It's my first time making panelist na live. Many different people. So I would like to be here.
Okay. So first of all, I just want to also engage our people here. Can you share with us like something interesting about you these days? Like, do you watch K-pop or do you have interest in Disney movies, something like that?
Okay, so one of the things that I've been doing right now is really to watch K-drama. But pero hindi talaga siya yung mga K-drama na mas romantic. So I really watch more of the action mystery series.
Wow, interesting. Yes. How about you, Miss Jen?
So, for me, something interesting. I'm learning Filipino sign language right now. So, hello to everyone who is learning FSL. And yeah, I hope I can practice soon.
Thank you so much, Miss Jen. I'm actually interested to also learning Filipino language.
For me, I guess I'm rediscovering my love for and discovering manhwa. So yung Korean equivalent na. So that's what I do. Most of my free time. I really enjoy different stories from different genres in comics. So I hope that's interesting.
Okay, I think a lot of people here can relate also, right? So, hindi lang naman tayo mga tech enthusiasts, but also we have other lives and other hobbies aside from doing tech or doing programming. Alright, so let's start with our first question. So this one, I want to know what is your definition of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what does this mean for you personally? Let's start with Miss Lee.
Okay, sige. So DE&I for me is, in a nutshell, belongingness. So the group that resonates the most with you is represented in the context of the workplace. So whatever that is, whether it's your religion, your gender identity, your sexual orientation, your race, ethnicity, and many other things, whatever resonates most with you, in DNI, it's important that it's represented. And Moreover, I think it's important that all of these groups are given the same opportunities and custom tools. When I say custom tools, it's important to say that for people who are more disadvantaged, or let's say my physical disabilities, they have to be provided the right set of tools because those tools might not be applicable to those who don't need them. And more importantly, D and I for me is having a safe space, to express yourself, to not be discriminated against. Um, so in a nutshell, belonging is not like being part of something.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Julie. Actually, I agree. So as a community here in GDG, we want to provide a space or a safe space for everyone to learn and to express their feelings and be part of a greater community, not just in their own comfort zone. Okay. And yes, we have own definitions.
Yes, so for me, I hope you'll allow me to go through the concepts of the first diversity. Sometimes when we hear the word diversity, we think of numbers. And if we say gender diversity, does that mean 50-50 dapat, lalaki at babae? O 50-30, so G tapos 50 lalaki? No. For me, diversity is not about numerical representation or even representational parity. It's about having a diverse demographic, magkakaiba kayo, and all of your underrepresented communities feel that they are represented. So it doesn't have to be 50-50, as long as all of the women, all of the LGBT, all of the religious minorities, all of the people with disabilities feel that they have the capacity to have their voices heard. In terms of equity naman, this is the process of making sure that everything is accessible to everyone, regardless of ability, gender, age, kung ano pa mang personal characteristic mo. So for example, if we're talking about technology, how do you make sure that your digital assets are accessible to people, for example, who have low vision? Okay? Ensuring that they have all the necessary tools to do their jobs. This is not special treatment. You are leveling the playing field. And inclusion, for me, really, is creating this environment where there is a high level of trust. May tiwala mula sa baba, rank and file employees, hanggang sa senior leadership. So that's clear na my
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Jen and Miss Angela.
Alright, so for me, D&I, so let's start with diversity. So for me, diversity is a fact. Every one of us is unique, diba? So we have different genders, nila, even different race, different colleges that we go to. So all of us are different. And in terms of equity, it's really an intentional choice of providing fair treatment to everyone so that they can grow and advance. And then for inclusion, it's really the action of getting all of this diversity to mix together so that there will be belongingness in, for example, in a company. So, yeah. So that for me is D&I. And of course, D&I is about being valued, being included, and also being able to help everyone perform at their best.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful answer. So just to summarize, right, diversity is not just numbers. It's more than just the genders or other ethnicity, but also knowing that you are being valued as who you are and being able to create an inclusive space for everyone. Okay, so I want to ask, these amazing women have already, part of something big or advocate for D&I. So what has influenced you to be part of this global advocacy? And can you share maybe an experience that really inspired you to be involved in this kind of community?
Maybe I can start again. So what influenced me, like what Jazz said, personal experience, also the experiences of my family and my friends. So for personal experience, when I was younger, it was everywhere. Like, I hear about how Filipinos are usually discriminated against when they work abroad. There's a certain stereotype for us. Now, I didn't think too much about it when I was younger, but when I had the opportunity to actually work abroad, na-experience ko siya. Like, I was discriminated against, na-judge ako because of my skin color. And as for the experience of my family, I think this one resonates with me more. I had a brother, he was visually impaired. And then I remember when I joined him at this university to enroll, they told us that they cannot accept him. So they turned him down and trained to treat people with special needs. And they do not have the facilities to support people like my brother who was visually impaired. So it was really heartbreaking. So from then, I had this strong feeling for advocating for allowing people, no matter what group they belong to be to have the opportunities, the same opportunities as I did, as I have in the workplace and other institutions. So that's it for me.
How about Miss Jen?
So for me, it's really personal experience. I think it's obvious naman, I have a physical disability. And I'd like to tell you a story. There was this one time where this young woman went to a job interview. She passed the initial screening, but they had to have a final interview on site. And when that happened, the young lady came to the interview. The interviewer took one look at her and walked out. Nag-walk out yung interviewer. They were saying, sorry, this is not the job for you. I'm really familiar with that story because that woman was me. I have a lot of experiences where I pass the interviews, and then when they see me, and they see that I walk with a limp, I have a bad back, I can't go far. No, sorry, we're not hiring. This is not the company for you. And at first, I tried changing myself. So I would wear braces, I would wear heels, so that the limp was not noticeable. Para hindi halata na iika-ika ako magkakal. But eventually, I realized, why should I have to change myself, to fit into a world that was not built for me? I realized that I needed to do something to change the world so that it would accommodate not just me, but other people with disabilities and with other marginalized identities. That's really the thing.
Thank you so much. Alright, so for me, it's different. So I started my other company as an expat compensation owner. So, but I wanted to do something that I feel would help people. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I should transfer to HR. Maybe that's where I could help more people. But there was no opening. So what I did was I volunteered to organize events for our diversity and inclusion week. So it was just a volunteer job. And what happened was the HR leader saw the events that I created. And when there was an opening, she offered me the position in HR. And I started doing DNI work as part of my work there. But last year, I was given the opportunity to do DNI full time. And I couldn't really pass up the opportunity because I feel like this is really the place or the where I can actually provide more impact and do a good job in creating a better place for everyone. So what's better than making sure that everyone is performing at their best, they feel that they belong, right?
Okay, so I guess not just the amazing women here experience a lot of stereotyping when it comes to inclusivity and about the D&I space, but also I'd like to share also like it's not common to me like of course kanina sinabi ni Miss Julie and Miss Jen na parang there's a stereotype when we say na mayroong this people with disability, and I guess a lot of us here would also have that kind of bias to non-disabled people. So, like for me, the first time I rode a tricycle going home, I encountered a tricycle driver, and I'm not really sure if it's safe to ride home. But I guess the people around that tricycle driver was able to help me translate saan ba ako uuwi. And I guess nakuha naman and nandun yung communication na kahit sinasign language mo kung saan ka pupunta, naiintindihan na. Hindi na natin napapansin na mas capable pa nga sila minsan na mag-serve sa'yo. And there's a lot of servers din na nakita ko, not just here in SM or sa mga establishment na hinahire nila kahit deaf or people with disability. And I guess it's really inspiring to see that we are more inclusive in terms of hiring people, not just those people na capable na sa dun sa work job. Okay, so telling you this story, I want to also know na parang, so there's some of the establishment na nag-hire na ng mga people with disability or neurodivergent people. I want to know how far along the D&I journey do you feel your organization or your company? So maybe Ms. Angela.
Right. So actually, the D&I journey is very complex, and I think it's going to be a multi-year journey. So not just for our company, but also for other companies. So there are different siguro maturities in terms of our program. So for example, I believe we are ahead in terms of infusing D&I in our global talent processes. Also race for Americas, and then of course gender globally. So for FactSet, we have this program, Women in Tech. So we're really big on that. So if any one of you also would like to join our company as a part of our and become part of our family, so that's something that we encourage. And so gender globally, we're already getting there, or we're already ahead. But there are still a lot of things that I believe we can still do. So there are items that we're still starting and planning to start. So I'm not at the liberty to tell you yet, as these are not public yet. But I still feel that there are still a lot of things that we need to do. So I've just been talking to Ms. Jen and how we can partner. And that's one of the things that I think will help us as well, is because we do partner with different organizations and with different communities, so that we can further our journey for the end.
I guess having a partnership to those organizations that really focus on that area would also help other companies to really grow their D&I journey. And
for DNC, so we are a global enterprise also. Just like what Ms. Angela said, we still have a long way to go. The journey is just starting. So if I compare it to human development, siguro toddler, but I am proud to say, although not into much detail, that over the past year, there have been a lot of programs and initiatives that we jump started, and I feel that it's only now that I'm feeling the tangible results. And I think as with any goal, like even that if that's personal or a company goal, we need to have measures of success. And I guess to see how far along we've gone in the D&I journey, some of the measures of success that I see now for ESC technology, especially in the Philippine Center, is that we have integrated DE&I in employee benefits. So it's part of that, not going to details. Also, I can see it from the leadership team that there are advocates and there are champions who are pushing for these programs and initiatives for these not to be just, as part of a trend or a fad, that there's follow through. So I think there's a long way to go, but we have come much further than the previous years.
Thank you so much, Miss Judy, for that. And yes, Miss Judy,
I think for me, I'm going to provide more of an industry perspective for DEI because my company's work is actually supporting other companies who want to roll out their own DEI initiatives. I think in the Philippines in general, the DEI space is still very young. I've been a student, toddler, feeling ko nga younger than the infant. So, but there are baby steps that have been taken. 2019, former President Duterte signed an executive order on diversity inclusion programming in government offices. So that's already instituted. In the private sector, the Employees Confederation of the Philippines, in cooperation with ILO and the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, has also established a diversity and inclusion committee working group where we're trying to really gather all of these companies and businesses committed to workplace gender equality. There are also industry groups like Philippine Business Disability Network, FPIP, that focus on specific diversity characteristics. So there are baby steps, but still a very long way to go.
Okay, so as you can see naman and heard from this amazing panel, medyo malayo-layo pa tayo, pero we're starting to build on our D&I initiatives. Speaking of initiatives, I want to also know if you have like best practices in your organization or you as a person or a leader in or leading a team. Do you have any strategies or best practices how you can create more inclusive and diverse, team?
Some of the best practices that I found really effective. Number one, training, educating people. Because the first step to promoting DEI culture is awareness. Awareness that it exists and it's impactful to all of us, to our productivity, all of that. And then second, I mentioned this already earlier, having a champion. Because it has to, you can start with one. You don't have to shoot for the moon right away. So having champions place in strategic positions, people who will drive the programs and initiatives, and I think it's important to know again the follow through. It has to be consistent. And I guess finally, having focused group discussions, I feel that people in smaller groups, they tend to share more yung mga concerns nila, they tend to give feedback, and yung mga worries nila, they're able to share. And with that, the conversation is more open. And people are more, ano ba, mas na-accept nila if people call them out for insensitive language, for example, or some of the more unconscious biases that we have. What do you see?
All right, so aside from awareness that Ms. Julie mentioned, I think it's also important that we're able to infuse the D&I into people processes. Like for example, in recruitment, in promotions, because that's where you will really see the difference in culture. So aside from awareness, you have to be able to include that, as I said, in recruitment, but also as Ms. Julie mentioned as well, in employee benefits. So once you're able to really look at your processes in the company with a D&I lens, then you'll be able to make sustainable culture change.
Okay, just to add to what's already been said, siguro I have to. Number one is measurement. What gets measured gets acted upon. Narinig niyo na ba yun? So you need to know where you are right now at the level of diversity and inclusion. Are you diverse? Are you inclusive? So for us, we use different tools to measure an organization's level of workplace gender equality, diversity and inclusion, disability accessibility. So you need to know where you are before you can identify what needs. And one is embedding key so when you assess the performance of your senior
So to follow up on that answer, Ms. Jen, you mentioned about senior leadership. So how do we get them?
to people, onboarding and learning and developing. It has to be there. And I like what Miss did mention about what she said about coaching. She said there are a lot of people who are hesitant because they don't know, because they have no idea how it impacts them. Baka they benefit from the status quo. So having coaches strategically like position across the company, especially big enterprises like ours. I think that's very important. And echo ko lang ulit, yung sa senior leadership talaga, that's very important. Because they're the ones at the top. Whatever comes out of their mouth, and I guess actions also speak louder than words. I'd like to, I guess, maybe mention how inspiring it is to hear from them. When I heard IO, Christy Brenner like mentioned how she's an advocate for women in STEM, parang it ignited something in me that, okay, I can do something like that for the community. Like I can more women leaders here in the company, like doing STEM, like technology related courses. So,
So, in terms of convincing your senior leaders to have a DNI program in the company, so I think one of the most important aspects is to have data ready as well. So I know that everyone over here like, loves data, so you can use that in terms of convincing your senior leaders to invest in DNI. Like for example, having DNI or having business resource group or employee resource group, like for example, pride, disability, women's, so it actually increases the diversity satisfaction by 40%. So there are a lot of studies and data that suggest that feeling belongingness in a company would actually increase the performance and even the type of services that you provide to your employees. So that's one data. And I think one of the measures or one of the things that companies really look at is retention, right? So do you know that the first 60 to 90 days of an employee in a company is very crucial for them to stay at least 1 year in the company. So if they don't feel that they belong, especially the underrepresented groups, then they might resign. And that will be another cost to the company because you have to train, you have to hire another person. So looking at those data, providing them this data will make sure that they also have a stake in the end.
Thank you so much, Miss Angeline. I want to just ask also, what can you give us or the people in like HR, and what are the advice that you can give them to start with the BNI initiatives?
So I think you have to start small, but you have to start impactful and you have to start right now. So it's not gonna be perfect at the start. So there are still a lot of things that you have to learn as you go along the way. But if you just get that data, you analyze where do I start, what meaningful or impactful area can I start with, and then you do it right now. Because if you think okay, I'm gonna start doing this, but you're not small or big initiative. It's really important that you do it. A lot of companies and a lot of clients also would want to be in this BNI to be left behind as well. So like for us, in 20 things to do. So with that 5 year journey, it's not
And there has to be high level of collaboration among everyone. Also willingness to learn and unlearn your biases. The second one is let's not focus on fixing individuals. For example, let's not focus on telling that you have biases, you change that, or you should change the way you're working. Rather, let's focus on trying to fix the systems, the processes, the policies that we are all embedded in, because that's where you will find the most change. That's for me.
For me, I guess it's be intentional. So you start with yourself. What I did was I read, I watch videos, listen to stories of people who are experiencing discrimination, in the workplace, and reading about different cultures and exposing yourself. When you travel, for example, you talk to people, you eat their food, but you assimilate yourself to their culture so that you understand people better. So
Want to make sure that everyone here will be or will take action after this session. So be intentional, be clear and open to listening and conversing with other people, unique experiences. And I hope that everyone here will feel safe and start doing something about me and I. And thank you so much again, Miss Angeli, Miss Jen, Miss Judy. And I hope you can still join us later for more sessions. And please, let's give a warm of applause to our
Thank you very much, Miss Julie, Miss Jen, and Miss Anthony for this inspiring conversation. Thank you so much. I was really teary-eyed from all your stories. I hope it gave our audience the best insight on how diversity, equality, and inclusion matter, not just in our current workplace, but in our everyday lives as well. This was an awesome talk from these four awesome women. All right, now for our next speaker, I like this one because this one has a very witty title. So he is an engineering manager from Grab. As an engineer, he has worked on the full stack development of scalable and distributed web applications. Outside of work, he volunteers as a community lead for Big O and the development and the on cloud technologies current day topic. He is also a Google developer expert for Google, cloud technologies, and often blogs and talk about these areas as well. Talk about Postgres, SQL, not red items. Please give it up to you. Afternoon.
Wait lang. Diba? HDMI niya ba?
Give us a moment. Really have issues to solve. Okay, so thanks for joining and spending a big share here today. Hopefully you guys didn't get weighted too much by the this title I set. Okay, I wanted to set it up as a little bit of a joke, because PG, parent guidance, and PG Postgres. But essentially the three different tools that work on Postgres. Which one should you actually use if you are an application developer and you need to use Postgres? Okay, so today I also want to introduce a comparison framework, especially if even if you are a regular engineer or if you are looking towards engineering leadership, you know what you can use actually to compare different tools and figure out how you can get buy-in for your team as well. And also I want to give you a little bit more insights into the different cloud storage or Google storage, data storage solutions in Google Cloud. Okay, not just referring towards Postgres today, because I know that most of you maybe are not just application developers that use Postgres alone. Okay, so let's get started. Right, so this is a bit of a sunken cost fallacy of slide. I actually wanted to make a big joke out of this, but I couldn't think of something. Then I spent way too long creating this slide, so I decided to just leave this here. So yeah, just showing like hard work, but I can't do much of this. But okay, jokes aside, I wanted to first, before going into the comparison of Postgres tools inside Google Cloud, I want to give a bit more insight into what are the data storage solutions in Google Cloud today. Know what are the different options you can use if you are a client using Google Cloud. Okay. But before going into that question, we first need to understand one thing first. We want to define the statement, what is a data store? And one of the biggest misconceptions I see around is that people usually define a database as a data store. And while strictly speaking, it isn't wrong, it's not entirely correct either. Okay? So there is some minute differences in these two terms. And knowing this allows you to differentiate the different product offerings in Google Cloud. Okay, so just to be a bit more verbose, I'll tell you the keywords in here. For a data store, you're looking more towards the storing, managing, and distributing your data sets that store, produce, store, and manage and use within an organization. Okay, so to simply put it, of course, a database can be a data store, but even something as simple as a thumb drive can also be used as a data storage shared by your organization as you are passing with each other, sharing with each other. But when we are looking at the database, it builds on top of that definition of the data store. Okay, not just doing what a data store can do, but also referring to the systematic collection of data. Okay, take for example a relational database like Postgres, MySQL. All of these are stored in a tabular format. Okay, so essentially that's what we mean by that systematic collection. Okay, and also they are covered by something like the database management system. So to simply put it, a database is definitely a data store, but the reverse may not necessarily be true. And this is, I'm going to show you why in the next slide. Okay, referring towards what are the data store solutions in Google Cloud. Okay, so if you look at the different data store solutions in Google Cloud, okay, one of the commercial offerings, of course, if your company does use the enterprise solution for Google Drive, Google Office, it's actually you can use Google Drive, sharing files in between different coworkers. Okay, and that's one form of storage. Okay, though not strictly speaking a solution you'll use as a developer when you're programming for something using Google Cloud. Okay, but if you're looking for something that's much more tuned to developers using Google Cloud, of course you'll be looking at other data storage solutions. For example, you have cloud storage, which acts as a object storage. Okay, so web developers out there, you will be very much familiar with this tool. You can use it to store, let's say, your files that you want to. If you want to use your cloud storage as a CDN, allow your users to load, let's say, the CSS files or JavaScript files directly from the cloud bucket. Or let's say, a certain function of a web application like loading a avatar image. Okay, you don't really want to store that in a database. You just want to store the link to the image in your database, but you store the actual files, you host it directly on cloud storage. Okay, so this is just part of what you consider as a data storage solution in Google Cloud, not yet a database. But if you go down to the databases, you find that there's a rich list of selection of many different databases you can use as well. And of course, the one thing we want to focus on is the relational databases today for Postgres. But beyond that, we also have non-relational databases like Firestore. We also have in-memory databases, like for example, in this case is Memory Store, which some of you might be familiar in terms of using this cache or in-memory database in this case. Okay, so these are the different product offerings you can get from data storage solutions, specifically databases on the bottom part. But we want to zoom into just databases today, and more specifically for Postgres databases, referring to that relational database offerings. Okay, we're going to take away the bare metal portion because that means that you have to self-manage your own databases. We want to add in a new tool that's not in this infographic that I show you, which is AlloyDB, because this was something that was released in this year sometime in May. Okay? And from there, we want to get a much more better, or rather, I will offer you, my insights to how each of these different tools fare in terms of being able to be the best, best as in quotations, the best Postgres database. Okay, before I give you all the details, all the good things, all the stuff, some of you might be asking, why Postgres? Why not MySQL? Why not SQL Server? Why specifically Postgres? I'd like to offer some insights into why we should talk about Postgres. Okay, let's start off with this worldwide ranking of databases first. You'll find something very interesting here, which is that MySQL and SQL Server, which is both options available in Google Cloud today, is actually ranked higher than Postgres. Okay, but Postgres is not that bad as well, ranked fourth throughout the entire world in terms of these different database offerings. But the one important thing, if you draw it out to more specific rankings, right, you'll find that as an open source system, Postgres is actually ranked second. Okay? And some of you might even be more familiar that MySQL is actually bought by a commercial entity, And as commercial entities, they may have their own commercial interests as well. Okay? But unlike something like Postgres, where you have an open source community with interest that's driven by the community. Okay, so if you have something that you need to optimize or some feature you like inside this database offering, you can actually make that request and have a open process for these features to be considered. As compared to the more commercial systems where these are more guarded by the commercial interests of organizations. And this is part of the reason that I think why Google Cloud is also slowly moving in this direction. Providing us with more options to be able to contribute to this ecosystem. And also, on the other end, not allowing yourself to be vendor locked. Because if you use some of these systems, you may end up being vendor locked, in let's say like being stuck to the database, not very easy to migrate out of the system. Okay, so this is why much more important for us to consider some of these databases to leverage up in this case Postgres. Okay, so going into the fun part, supposedly fun part, which is the comparison itself. Okay, so first off, before the comparison portion, I just want to give a quick introduction on what each of these databases are, especially for those who may not have any exposure to them today. You see these three logos over here. From left to right, you have Cloud SQL, Spanner, as well as AlloyDB. Okay, and over there, okay, it's a little bit small to see at the back. I think online probably people watching online can see them. But what's written in these notes over here, these are essentially the release notes, indicating when were they first released. In the case of Cloud SQL and Spanner, you can see that both of them, their content is generally available since a certain date. For Cloud SQL in 2018, as well as for Spanner in 2022, which is this year in June. For AlloyDB, it's actually in a very different investigation. It's still in preview status. Okay, so preview status is much more behind in terms of it's not generally available yet. It just means that there's probably still picking out some parts of the system. Yeah, opening it to the general public to test it out and see if it goes to the workloads. Okay, so just to mention the two different tools from the middle, the third one, Spanner and AlloyDB, I'll consider them as new product offerings. Okay, Spanner, yes, is in GA state, but that said, it was only released in June this year. AlloyDB, as mentioned, in May, review state, again another new tool. Okay, so you should put these considerations into them as new tools, right? As part of their product maturity, whether you should adopt them or not. And we'll see how this will tie into our choices later on. Okay, so talking about each of these product offerings, let's start off with Cloud SQL. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Cloud SQL, most would consider this as the introductory option. If you are self-hosting your own Postgres database, you'll most likely look at this as the tool that you'll use to first migrate to the cloud. Okay, so and one of the main reasons for it, it's basically diverse offerings, not just for Postgres, but also for MySQL as well as for SQL Server. Okay, and because of that, how it's being hosted, how is it being managed today, is the closest to you self-hosting yourself, except that now it's just being hosted by Google Cloud. Okay, and the migration is very easy. It's usually one-to-one directly back to the cloud environment. Okay, how about Spanner? You compare that with Cloud Spanner, right? The description for Spanner is a very different description altogether. For Cloud SQL, you look at it as an introductory option, much more smaller use cases. But whenever someone talks about Spanner, we talk about scale, we talk about distributed relational databases, heavily optimized at large scales, millions of users. Okay, and because of that, of course, you should also expect that it will be a bit more costly. But there's a lot of functions that come along with Spanner, which we'll talk about. One of the interesting things is that for Cloud Spanner, it's not built on top of Postgres, MySQL, or SQL Server. It's built on top of their own proprietary technology, which is Google Standard SQL. Okay, but in today's comparison, because we're talking about Postgres, we are looking at a Postgres interface on top of Spanner. Okay, but what it actually means is under the hood, it's still not Postgres. It's running Google Standard SQL underneath, but you can actually run compliant query language construct that are compliant to Postgres on this interface, and you should still see it work. But we'll talk about some of the weaknesses to these interfaces later on. Okay, lastly, AlloyDB, the newest kid around the block. Okay, released in May of this year, still in preview. You can try it out if you want, but there are some limitations because it's kind of new. There are also some pretty cool features that they released along with this tool, AlloyDB. And one of the things, if you go around, read around, you actually see that a lot of the use cases that describe about RDB usually states that it's very close as a replacement for a lot of these classical use cases. Okay, very interesting. And one of the big things that goes around RDB is them stating that it's very like 4 times in terms of performance, 4 times higher in terms of performance for transactional workloads, as compared to let's say something like Cloud SQL. Okay, so as mentioned, yeah, they offer some improvements, and there's also other improvements like reliability improvements, for example, SLA. But like as I mentioned, one of the key weaknesses right now is that it's still in review, so you shouldn't run production workloads on it today until it goes to the GDG state. Okay, the fun part. How do you compare between all these different tools? Do you simply compare the utility? Okay, so we're comparing 3 different tools. We say that they are kind of Postgres, or they are Postgres. Okay, but how do you exactly compare 3 different Postgres tools? Do you find one that's a bit more Postgres than the other? Like, how do you exactly find out who's more Postgres than Postgres? Okay. Questions that we have to ask today. But cost. Okay, cost is something that if you're comparing different tools, I think it's a bit more quantifiable, a bit more direct, a bit more easy for you to find out. Okay, something A is more costly than B, hence B is more desirable. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Similarly, we have other factors like performance, again, quantifiable, similar to cost. If A is more performant than B, A is more desirable, okay, and vice versa. Okay. Again, another point to consider. But as we add more and more of these points over here, you find that it's not easy for you to decide what factors you should put in when you're comparing different tools. Okay, how many of these different factors should you put in as well? So this is where I want to propose a system that you can use in your daily life, inside, for your own work as well, using a framework that's been coined by other members of this industry, which is this term called FERPS. Okay, it's actually an acronym for 5 different letters: functionality, usability, reliability, performance, and sustainability. You can also search up the Wikipedia article for each of these letters. Sometimes there's an alternate interpretation there as well. Okay, so coined by these 2 guys called Brady and Caswell of HP. Okay, but using FERPS, what's going to happen is that we're going to use this as a way to quantify the quality of each of these different tools. And we'll explain how each of these different tools weigh against each other using this framework. Okay, let's start off first with the first point, functionality. Okay, idea of functionality is you want to compare the features inside this tool. Like I said just now, which one is more Postgres than each other. And while I joke a little bit about it, it's actually true. Some of these tools is definitely more Postgres than the rest. Cloud SQL supports the most variations or major versions of Postgres compared to other tools. You can see over here 9.6, 10, 11, 12, 11, 13, and 14, no 12. Okay. But if you compare to the other tools, RDB only supports 14. Okay. What this means is that if you're an application developer running on 9.6, you may not want to choose RDB if there's certain conflicts. Let's say you migrate your application to the cloud, you move your database to RDB, but you're using 9.6 compliant queries. Some things might break, some things might not work. So you might need to spend some time fixing them, migrating to Postgres 14. Okay. Or with Cloud SQL, you have that functionality, you migrate it, mapping one-to-one right away, nothing breaks. If you go to Spanner, you want to gauge it on the functionality for Postgres versions. It's even worse. It doesn't even support versions. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but remember I mentioned that it's an interface. It's an interface that allows you to map that query from Postgres to Google standard SQL. Okay. So under the hood, it doesn't exactly support the custom features or even some of the cool features inside Postgres. For example, triggers, procedures. Some of you who maybe really deep in using Postgres, you might actually miss out on some of these deeper features if you need them. Okay. Another thing about functionality, okay, not just about Postgres major versions. How about database extensions? If you're a user of these databases, like Postgres database, some of you might be familiar with certain interesting extensions. For example, there's this one called PG stat statement. If you are a Postgres developer, right, you definitely need to use PG stat statement. It allows you to get query insights into your database, allowing you to understand how well or how badly your queries are performing. performing. Okay? So certain custom extensions like this help to enhance your experience, enhance the functionality of you using that database. Okay, and AlloDB does the best here. It has 69 extensions today. There's also interesting extensions they put in, and this is how Google Cloud's effort, right, in trying to get us to use AlloDB, because they added in special extensions like Google ML integration to allow you to integrate with Vertex AI if you want to. So in the future, if you want to just directly extract the data, plug it into Vertex AI, you can just do it directly through AlloDB. Top SQL, not that bad as well. They support 62 extensions. These are the basic extensions out there. It's not using so much in terms of functionality as compared to AlloDB. But if you compare to Spanner, again, it's an interface, doesn't have that database extension, a little bit frustrating, but what it is, it's an interface. Okay, and lastly, I want to end off the functionality portion by stating that all of them have equal integration, with all the application hosting tools in Google Cloud. You've got Cloud Run, App Engine, your GKE, all of them can use all these three different tools. So equal functionality in that spectrum. Okay? And with that, I put my verdict in. For functionality wise, it seems like Cloud SQL does the best in terms of being able to the most functionality. Followed on closely by AlloDB. And lastly, by Spanner, which doesn't have all these REST functionalities that you and I may need. Okay, so that's just one example of how you can use verbs. Move on to the next part, usability. What about usability? Yes, but is talking about the features. Usability, we're talking about the range of the variety of use cases. It's not something that you want to expose. I mean, if you have a production workload, you don't really want to expose your database publicly. So I'll say that maybe Google Cloud is on something here. Maybe they are doing this more for security, prevent you from exposing it, which is a good thing. Okay, so with that, I put my verdict in. For usability, seems like Cloud SQL and AlloDB are equal in terms of being able to be as useful as possible. But Spanner again, a bit more lacking in this area. Okay, third point in our FERPS framework. So FURPS, we have R, which is the third statement for reliability. Okay, reliability here refers to things like flakiness. You poke a needle to this tool, does it just collapse by itself? Okay, you want to make sure that I'm just joking about saying that, let's say downtime of the tool. You want to expect that this tool itself shouldn't have too much downtime. It shouldn't be going down too much. It should be reliable essentially. Okay? And when looking at reliability, for our databases, suddenly huge shift in terms of opinion for Spanner. Spanner, if you're using the multi-region instance, they offer up to 5 nines on their SLA. Okay, 5 nines doesn't sound like a very impressive thing, but if you quantify it to the number of seconds of downtime per month, that's 26 seconds. Okay, you put it down to per day, that's less than 1 second per day. And most of your, let's say if you're a user connecting from web application, you refresh a page, I mean, essentially that's close to that 1 second only. So if there's a disruption, it's very likely that the users may not even see a degradation in the user experience because the SLA over here that they promise is really, really high. You compare that with OLDB, not exactly the highest, okay, 4 nines. Essentially what it means here is you have 4 minutes and 22 seconds of downtime per month. Again, you split it up to 30 days in a month, you get around like close to 8 or 9 seconds. Again, not super high. You just see a small degradation of experience if let's say there's something wrong with Microsoft inside of OLDB. And finally, for Cloud SQL, okay, I want to emphasize here that yes, the number that you see over there, 21 minutes and 54 seconds, may look a little bit high. It's not a bad thing. Okay? The SLA of 9 actually is still considered pretty high. Okay? And if you again take things into perspective, 21 minutes and 54 seconds over 30 days, that's just like 1 minute across per day. Okay, so you're not looking at a huge amount of time. Okay, but what it means here is that Spanner, if you use Spanner, you expect it to be more performant, it doesn't go down that way. Okay, another weakness of, okay, don't say weakness now, but another expectation of Cloud SQL is that you have to set in an explicit maintenance window. Okay, so you have to tell Google that, hey, I expect that my application has the least amount of traffic this time. If you want to do maintenance, this is the half an hour you should do it. Okay, and sometimes they do bring a database down in that period, okay, for emergency maintenance. Okay, so you have some degradation user experience, whoever is using your application at one time. And this impacts its reliability because Spanner, especially OLDB, does not have this same problem. Okay, no downtime. Okay, and of course, you can also look into things like security as well. The reliable system should be secure, but because this is all done in Google Cloud, everything is managed. We see that security measures is the same. It does matter in terms it's much more reliable. Whereas OLDB, we have two more. Yeah, doing things for you usually means it's more. So I've done that. So I see that Cloud SQL use cases really is much more cheaper than OLDB. That OLDB much more cheaper than Spanner. Okay, and just a small footnote, because OLDB is not that mature yet, there isn't any committed use discounts. But if you're interested in looking into Cloud SQL or Spanner, definitely do look into those committed discounts. Which will help you to shave down the cost in the long term. And just want to claim very quickly that based on comparisons alone, what I believe is that Spanner does really well, best in performance here. Okay, although you need again a close second based on some of these things from Google side, which I will try to validate over here. So I actually tried to do my own benchmarking test with each of these different databases. It actually brought me down this entire rabbit hole of trying to understand how these different database benchmarks do. There's actually a whole world of these different terminology and benchmarks in databases. There's like this TPC framework, there's TPC A, TPC E. Over here we're using B and C. I'm not trying to throw too many terms at you, but essentially what I'm trying to say is both of these frameworks over here that are testing for the left one is okay, so essentially getting equally priced instances across these different pools and see how they fare in terms of performance. See which one you can get the most bang for your buck. Okay, and yeah, compare the performance from there. The second one is to use equivalent resource. Okay, so let's say if cost efficiency is not a problem, let me try to get, let's say, 2 virtual CPUs of CloudSQL and 2 virtual CPUs for OlloDB, and then see whose performance is better. Does it match up to Google's expectations that it's 4 times better? Okay, we see if that's the case. Okay, so again, compare the performance. Okay, and just small side note, I wasn't able to do for Spanner because set face its interface, so it didn't work with the PG bench as well as for HammerDB. Maybe in the future, if they build like additional functionality to interface with PG bench and HammerDB, we can do something there. But at this point, I'm not able to get that performance. But let's just do that benchmark for CloudSQL as well as for OlloDB anyway. Okay, so the first one, equally priced. For equally priced, right? Okay, what happened is that, because over here you can see over there that I'm trying to get 2 instances from CloudSQL and OlloDB. Okay, both of them are priced close to 600 USD. Okay, and we want to see how the performance compare. Okay, again, which one you can get the most bang out for your buck, for performance. Okay, interesting stuff. We find that the performance qualifier over here, which is the transactions per second, using GDG, you'll get a little bit out, for that performance for OlloDB, even though it's actually rated lower in terms of that instance. You get 2 virtual CPUs as compared to 4 virtual CPUs for CloudSQL. Okay, you still get a bit more performance. Something very interesting here. But if we use the HammerDB, the benchmark, right, which is to simulate actual user behavior, it's actually around the same. So nothing much to say here. Okay, but you can see that at the very least, they are comparable. If you talk about cost efficiency alone. Okay, how about for equivalent resource? If I don't care about cost efficiency, okay. Here's the thing: if I put them at equivalent resource, right, 4 virtual CPUs for CloudSQL and 4 virtual CPUs for OlloDB, you get a much more larger range in terms of performance observed over here. Okay, transactions per second for PG bench, you see that it's between 10% and 100% differences. If I use HammerDB, again, to simulate actual user behavior for transactions, you actually see that what Google claimed was kind of true. I actually was able to measure a 300% to 500% difference in terms of the performance, able to observe that 4x experience, okay, somewhat solidifying their expectations that it's true. Okay, so anyway, this is just to give you an understanding in terms of benchmarking, the performance expectations. But yeah, in terms of that validation of the performance, I'll still consider Cloud Spanner to be much better in terms of performance because of auto scaling. But OlloDB does meet some of those expectations, so I still put it at a close second. Let me go forward. So we're running out of time. Let me try to finish this up. I'll still give you the content that you need. So sustainability. We talk about FURP, F-U-R-P. There's still one more, which is S. The last part that you should really think about when you're comparing your tools is sustainability. Okay? So sustainability itself, you don't understand whether this tool you use it will become a legacy like within 2 years. You want to make sure that it's still sustainable across time. And one of the other sustainability use cases you should look at in terms of support as well. Okay? If let's say this tool is not supported in the regions that you're operating in, look at the performance tools by posting it as close as possible. Those regions, essentially, that's also not a sustainable way for you to post applications. Okay? So we see that OIDB has a bit more, has been marketed as a newer tool. Well, consequence and the expectation is that because they've been here around a period of time, you see them supported almost across every single region that Google Cloud operates in. Okay, another point on sustainability, product maturity. Okay, so this is what I mentioned earlier on. OIDB is to review, it came out in May. I think there's some expectations. Alright. So for this alone, for sustainability, our last point over here, this is what I just mentioned, for sustainability, I'll say that Sienna is very simple and the most sustainable because of the reasons I mentioned. Although you don't have that same level of sustainability until there's the future that you get that GA status. Okay, so overall verdict. Overall verdict, right? Essentially, you see this picture over here. It's just indicating all the rankings I mentioned just now. But the general idea here is that there's actually no one single picture that you can get from this whole thing. What it actually means, or what I'm trying to sell over here is, you should make your own interpretations. If you desire more functionality and a mix of usability as well as sustainability, Cloud SQL. If you need more performance and reliability, Spanner. Or if you are experimenting and you want something that's very much usable for future workloads, then you can use something like OIDB. Okay? So it's really up to you. That's what I'm proposing here. Figure out in each of these different areas what are the quality metrics that applies to your use case and company the most, and use the tool that applies to that metric. Okay? So essentially what I just said, choose wisely, make the right trade-offs. You can still make changes as you implement these applications. And let's say I migrate back from our DB Cloud SQL, you can still do that in time. But don't make sure you always make the right trade-offs. Understand and investigate first before jumping into it. Okay? Don't just make the trendy choices. Okay. So I already made these recommendations. I'm just going to skip through this part because we are kind of out of time. And just to mention, because I did a very in-depth look into this topic in terms of the 3 different database offerings. I think this slide will be shared later, where you can view the links online. Do take a look at this if you are making that same decisions as well. Or if you want to take the full look. Okay? And yeah, I'm going to skip them. So yeah, final thoughts over here. Do your research, make that trade-off. Understand the trade-offs you're making before you left. Understand what you're making, what choices you're making before you jump. Okay, and that's the answer I have in terms of this Postgres. Okay, so if you have more questions, I think we're out of time, so always reach out to me after this. I'll take you to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Punta ka na sa standby. Standby overlay. Standby overlay.
Thank you, Ryan, for that wonderful talk. I hope our audience here have chosen what fits for their usage. All right, and now we should be welcoming our friends from the breakout room. Justin, are you here?
Hi, Aaron. How's everything here?
We're good. We had a lot of informative talks about Flutter, about ML, PostgreSQL, as you saw earlier, and a great panel of inspirational women. How about over there in the breakout room?
Everything went well. We learned a lot from both our virtual and physical speakers from all over the globe. Again, this event would not be possible without our partners.
That's right, GDG DevFest 2022 is powered by Google.
Made possible by Google Developer Groups Manila and Women Tech Makers Manila.
Co-presented by CloudStack.
In cooperation with IT Genius.
Brought to you by Ray 360 Video Booth.
With our community partner, PWA Filipinas.
You know what, Just? We're actually lucky today as one of our partners is here to talk to each and every one of you. So please welcome our partner, CloudStack.
Salamat po. I hear some laughter already, and you will have to forgive my awful pronunciation of Tagalog. I'm an Englishman, I'm not a very intelligent one. So, I will try one more thing. Guys, magandang hapon. Well, that seems to work. So that's a start. Guys, we're at the end of the day. It's been a long day, and it's been an awesome day. I hope every single one of you have found that so far. And the last thing any one of you want to actually do is listen to some BS nonsense from a corporate sponsor. So I'm not going to talk about that. What I'd prefer to talk about is relationships, collaboration, partnership. Okay? Now, these are things that can be applied across all aspects of life. There are three fundamentals that I may look at when I do anything.
Before that.
And just so you know, my name is Dom. That's all you need to know. You do not need to look at job titles. Job titles mean nothing to me. I don't believe in hierarchy. I believe that all level, we just do different jobs. Three fundamentals to me in work are organisation, effort, and the most important, making friends with people. If you don't have the ability to do those things, you will find yourself in a corner very, very quickly. Which is why, and you can probably tell, I don't like doing public speaking. I'm not very good at it. I freeze, my mind goes blank. So very shortly, I'm going to be introducing a couple of my friends, and they're going to come on stage. And that's the thing about CloudStack. We're not colleagues, we're not workmates, we are friends. So, as my computer just decided to restart, I'm going to add just for a second. And I shouldn't have done that with one hand because it hasn't opened up quite yet. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the raffle. Yeah? Now, Dante, how many raffle prizes do we have?
Four.
We have four. And they're four Google Minis. They're Nest Minis.
Nest.
Yep. So for everyone that's registered with us, that is something we're working towards. And in the notion of collaboration and how we move forward, this wouldn't be possible without having people like Faye. Hello, Faye, give us a wave. Justine, where are you? There she is. Okay, Dante Canilio. There you go. Now I'll explain more about Dante and I shortly. GDG, where are you?
She's over here.
She's over there, okay. G was the one that first came to me and said, Don, this is something we can do. Let's do it. Now, you all heard from Dee earlier. You're going to hear from her again. And the last one, by no means least, because he is about 2 foot taller than me. Ryan Pally, stand up, give us a wave. There we go. So, again, I could talk about the lab staff. I could talk about this thing on my own, which is why I led the number 1 workplace in the Philippines 2 years running. There's no point, because it's going to sound like some BS sales pitch. Yeah? No one wants to hear that. I can see this guy here in the brown jacket, and he is nodding away furiously. You know what, Ben? I agree. I really agree. It's boring. It's another BPO, blah, 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 blah. But there's a reason that we have 92% retention rate. There's a reason that when people join, they do not want to leave. So, let's start it off. Goldie, do you think we should do the first raffle? Do it. Right? Right. Who wants to win a Google BA? Justine, can you give me a hand for streaming this onto the screen, please?
Ito to. Edit mo to. GDG Manila raffle winners. GDG Manila.
How do you foster connection with staff in a globally distributed virtual workforce? As the global workforce becomes more decentralized and moves into the virtual realm, the power of video connection is more important than ever. But while Zoom and other video conferencing platforms are great for small and scale leaders, they aren't always the best or the most engaging way to keep your staff and teams connected and engaged on a larger scale. As a leading provider of remote staff in the Philippines, Cloud Staff has long embraced the power of video. But as we've grown, we've also grown the quality and production level of our video output. With an investment in fully functioning television-style studio, we are able to share information globally with staff and teams in an engaging and entertaining way. It allows us to produce important company news bulletins, which are broadcast across multiple time zones, hold high-quality interactive virtual town hall events, fast-track training and development with professional-level learner-led video courses, enhance the company knowledge base with a repository of instructional videos, and boost employee engagement with next-level virtual parties and events, complete with celebrities and massive prize giveaways. Though our staff and customers can be found in every corner of the world, we are able to stay connected, unified, and share our experiences together. My name is Armin Aquino, signing out from Studio 6 at Cloud Staff, your global leader in outsourced talent.
Well, there you go. All right. And guys, you know what? Don't give a round of applause for that. You can watch anything like that anyway. The more important thing is what you want to achieve in life. Okay? Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, we spend more time at work than we do at home. But anything can be shown over the past couple of years that we can work anywhere. And that's what we do. And this is the conversation I'm going to have because I told you guys I'm not a very good public speaker at all. You can tell because I should have been way more prepared than I am at the moment. So I'm going to bring up a couple of friends shortly. But again, I mentioned some people that have been integral to making this work. This young lady here, pop over. Come on, come on. What's your name?
Justin.
Take the mask off.
Justin.
It's Justine. Justine has came up on stage, even though you don't really enjoy this, do you? No, not in the slightest. but she's fixed everything for me because I'm just a stupid Englishman. All right? Justine is one of the people that has made this work. You have heard about her all day today, but now she's on stage. Now she's doing it. Guys, show some hands. Come on. Well done. Good work, my boy. Good work. So, am I good to go? Yeah, okay. Guys, real-time tech support. Yeah, this is actually going beyond level 1. We're now hitting tier 2 on here to make sure it works. So, I'll say it one more time. Why is it on screen? Right, okay, we're getting there. Guys, I'm so sorry. Part of my job is figuring things out as they happen. All right? But I'm not that intelligent. Again, I say I'm a stupid Englishman. I need very intelligent Filipinos to help me how to do things. So, guys, 3, 2, 1. Let's put a Google Mini. Click. Oh, Jonathan! Brother, come up here. Come on, come on. Ryan, can you bring one up, please, mate? So this is my Colombian friend, Jonathan. Well, I shouldn't have said that because this is not biased. All right, Jonathan just took the time to speak with me earlier. How are you, mate? You enjoying today? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Well, I'm not surprised. You've just won this. Don't be Canada. Please. Guys, let's all give Jonathan a huge round of applause. Okay. Because of the tech situation, I've pretty much run out of time. I've got 4 minutes left. But before I do that, because I know everyone is getting bored and listening to me, let's introduce 3 people. And he thought he was going to get away with this, but he's not going to get away with this. So, we've got my beautiful G. Come on, G. You all heard it before. That root cause analysis was incredible. Okay. Hello, my love. Okay. Then we have a very close friend of mine, Mr. Ryan Pamituan. Now, Ryan Pamituan has been a massive advocate and a supporter of this stuff. Is that right? Sometimes. Okay, brilliant. So, would you like to take a seat? Would you like to take my seat? Brilliant. Okay. And then also, we have my best friend, a guy that I've known for 5 years, started off as my cultural attaché. That's not meant to be patronising in the slightest, because you could always know who you can trust. And this guy has looked after me since I came to the Philippines. Guys, I give you, don't be Canadian. Okay, so instead of me just telling you why class staff is all of this corporate stuff, yeah, where it's #1 workplace. Very simply, I get to work with my friends every single day. Okay, G came to me with the idea. Dante coordinated, Ryan supported. So I'm just going to pass the microphone around a little bit, and guys, just tell me what collaboration, partnership, and relationships mean to all of you. Ryan, would you mind starting? Thank you very much.
I guess just to echo on what Dom was saying, maybe pivot it a bit. The reason why I joined Cloud Staff is because we treat people as people. Dom was saying that we work with friends, right? And our CEO Lloyd Ernst would always say that the people are the ones that really build Cloud Staff. So we get great people, the people get great clients, and then the clients will attract more great people. That's the circle of life of Cloud Staff. So if you want to work for a company that's not your typical BPO, definitely give us a call or reach out to us. I think we sent out a couple of business cards through Dom earlier. So yeah, we're also going to be hanging out. So if you guys had a few more questions about Cloud Staff, please reach out to us. Dundee?
Right, completely right. Guys, this is the thing, we are approachable. You can speak to us. You do not work for a BPO, you work with friends. Okay? BPO for me meant a lot of unsavory things, and I didn't want to do that. Yeah, this is different. And I hope that my long-standing friend who has worked with me in 2 different companies will tell you the same thing.
I like being your friend. I'm kidding. So, I would have.
I'm sorry, is that just me or did that sound really perverse? We have 2 minutes. I'm not even going to go into a joke about that, Don. Carry on.
So it wouldn't have been possible if Dom didn't ask me to go. And what I found out in Cloud Staff is it's literal. I'll keep it simple. I used time's almost up. Raffle's more important than me. So.
I don't know why we've been friends for so long. Honestly, I don't. Shush. No, naughty Carillion. But then we come to the most intelligent person of the group. And you all heard from her before. Guys, I want you to give her another round of applause because it's the second time she's been on stage today. Beautiful team.
That's too much already, Tom. So we are already time's up. To make it faster though. To make it faster though, fun fact is I got my job in Cloud Staff because of relationship. It was through Ryan. It was also through GDG. That's why I got the connection, and I started working in Cloud Staff only this year. And I gotta tell you, only in my few months, I got offers in big companies already, but I decided to stay because Cloud Staff, they will really take care of you, not only personally, but also your career. So it's good to be here.
And you know what? I don't like working with people that want a job. I like working with people that want a career. My mum taught me a couple. You can wave away all your pistachio. It's not going to happen because I'm the one with the microphone. If my mum taught me 2 things in life, you work hard, you will get what you want. Okay. The second thing my mum taught me: if you have a spare few quid, if you have a spare few peso, if you have a spare bit of time, then you help other people. It's very, very basic principles. Yeah. So I'm going to sign off shortly. But who wants to win another 3 Google Minis? Here's my Justine to make sure that we can do this. So, Justine, you can press the button. Yeah, I know. Guys, if you don't want people to enjoy and win prizes, then I would, there we go. Thank you very much. Press it now. Thank you. Whoa! Congratulations! Where are you, Kenneth? Kenneth, are you here with us? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Kenneth, I'm sorry. 1. Guys, we should all agree that we need to roll again. Okay, let's roll again. Shake Rizal! Rizal! Oh, there we go. We've actually got the attention. Ryan, 2 more. I'm sorry. I don't care about this out of time nonsense. So, let's go. Again, G, I think it's your time. Press the button. Oh, well, we've done it already. Zaina. Zaina. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, dear. Manuel. Where is everyone gone? That's okay, it's okay, you don't need to run. Ryan, I don't trust her, I don't like her lot. Check her right. Ryan, how many do we have left? Oh, guys, we've got one left. Just one. I hope this person's in the room. 9, 7. Oh, there he is. There he is. Guys, that concludes our talk for today. I'm sorry it wasn't informative. It wasn't really, really techy. But what I wanted to demonstrate to all of you is what it's like to work with your friends. None of us are getting paid today to actually do this. The reason we've done it is so we can hand out, right? Because when it's work and you work with your friends, then it doesn't feel like work, all right? Collaboration, partnership. If I didn't meet my lovely face Ashio, then this wouldn't have happened. If G hadn't introduced me, if G hadn't introduced Jancy, okay, give me a break, you've got a really weird name. Oh, carry on, we go this way. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our friends at Cloud Staff and for to the very charismatic Dawn. And no, very sure everyone nanalo. Alright, and now for our closing keynote, allow me to bring back to the stage our Women Tech Makers Ambassador of GDG Manila, Justin DevFest.
Okay. I only have like 12 minutes to talk. And I don't want to wait again for you to, go home and share your knowledge. But of course, I want to share some actions that you need to take. So today I'll be talking about reimagining that community. So first of all, what
Sorry, I
does
know I was being a
community
dick, but I
mean
went
to
into
you?
full salesman mode.
So of
I'm
course,
sorry, sweetie.
it's just a place or maybe
Adrenaline's bouncing around everywhere.
set of people that you're interested in or have the same passion. But according to John Van Meer, one of the marvelous things about community is that enables us to welcome and help people in a way we couldn't as individuals. So that means, hindi dapat, or hindi na sa hindi dapat, pero mas marami tayong magagawa kapag sama-sama tayo na gumawa ng isang project or an impact to the community. So when we pool our strength and share the work and responsibility, we can welcome many people, even those in distress, and perhaps help them find self-confidence and inner healing. And also, from Helen Keller, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So earlier today, in the opening remarks, and the opening keynote by me, as you can see, there's a lot of GDG chapters all around the globe, helping the community, help reskill, and share the knowledge to other tech enthusiasts. Let me just share a short story. So I started volunteering since 2017. I was a shy girl actually. And being part of a joining alone, joining a Android workshop that I didn't even know before. Lalo na kapag galing ka sa province, and hindi naman ganun kalamak yung tech or events, it's pretty new to me. And I want to experience what is it like to be part of something that I aspire to be. So this is my first time visiting Google Office, and this is also the first time I met a lot of people in the community. There's VR Philippines, Android, EWA, and so on and so forth. It's a good experience to have because I know that there's a lot of things that I can learn in the community, not just a simple, because my background is design, and all I want to know before is Photoshop. But there's a lot of things beyond Photoshop. So you can even code and create generative art using programming. And then I also been part of VR Philippines as an ambassador. And it's the first time that my school is experiencing this ambassador program and taking those VR community in the school to take on the role of bridging the gap between the academy and the industry. And then I was fortunate enough to experience for almost 5 years of community leadership and having these amazing people surrounding me to create a better events for the community and sharing our knowledge and expertise in different areas. And then of course, this is probably the highlight of my year because I never really managed to, connect with different people all around the globe and sharing all those expertise and all those community leaders who are also helping their own country to create a better impact in the society. So one of our mission in GDG Manila is to help developers be better developers. But of course, it's not about just developers. We also want designers to be better designers, or to help innovators be better tech innovators, and to help project managers be better in handling difficult clients, as G told earlier. So also to help tech enthusiasts learn and build technical skills. So if you're just new here, I observed earlier when we asked who is the first timer to attend this event, there's a lot of hands actually. And I really want you to build and learn from these experts, from these professionals, and really deep dive on going beyond your comfort zone. Basically, helping one another to grow professionally and beyond. It's not about just learning how to code, but also learning how to empathize with your clients, your colleagues, the community, and even in yourself. Community is not just an event, conference, or just a requirement for your company. Community a place to collaborate, network, reskill, and share one's knowledge, even just a simple bug fix. All of this, when you combine this, it will be the result of growth. Not just you individually, but also the community, your company, your organization. So I just want to share the summary of this DevFest 2022. We don't actually expect a lot of things. But currently, the in-person attendance is around 500 plus. And we're not also just, and I want to thank everyone for taking this time to be here. I think this is not the final numbers, but I heard that there are walk-ins and there are also a lot of people who are really interested to experience this. And then we also have like 18 international and local speakers. Again, this is probably the most diverse speakers that we ever had. And it's not just about gender, but also being a representation in each ethnicity, religion, and so on and so forth. We also have 13 sessions ranging from intermediate to basic talks. And then we also have 30 dedicated volunteers that I really appreciate your hard work efforts. Even though you have like school, you have your own work, working tirelessly, even though we have a lot of things to do. And then, of course, our amazing sponsor, Cloud Staff, PWA, IT Genius, Hooray 360 Booth. We really appreciate you for being here and supporting us, even we are still in pandemic. So, just to summarize this, it's time to take some action. First, connect and network with speakers. It's your time to shine, to really explore more and really connect. 2 years have been passed and we cannot really connect with other people. And this time around, we have the chance to, do this again in this event, in this one venue. Engage with the community and organizers. If you are interested, we are really here to hear all your stories. If you want to volunteer, feel free to reach out to us. Or if you have any projects or it's your first time to share something new to the community, we open our doors for beginners to intermediate to advanced. And collaborate with developers, tech innovators, and experts. So we flew a lot of experts from Google Developer Experts team. So please maximize the time that you have with them and learn from them. Start building impactful projects. Attending events, it doesn't stop here, but we will create a better impact if we create projects that will matter in our society. Again, we really appreciate that you can drop us some feedback. We really want to improve our events. And, it's not just about, again, attending an event, but also we want to create a better experience for you. We want to serve you better. And lastly, I want to thank a lot of our speakers who are here. Thank you for staying up to this time. Really appreciate it. And then, of course, the core team of GDG Manila. We already introduced them to you, but these are the people working behind this kind of events. And of course, our amazing volunteers. Thank you for being part of our growing community and happy 15th anniversary. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. I agree that community is a great place for growth. By the way, the raffles are not yet done. We still have a lot of prizes in store for you. So who here still wants some swags? So we're giving away 15 GDG shirts for the lucky audience.
And also, I can count how many times we've told you this, guys, but please use our official hashtag. And yes, we've chosen 5 winners from your social media posts.
And from IT Genius, they're giving away 2 tote bags, 3 shirts, and 1 mini, which I think was given already a while ago.
All right. So first, let's go presenting our social media winners. Let's see them on the screen. I believe you already have them. Okay. Wala pa pala. So, mamimili pa lang. Go like, post muna kayo guys. Huwag na tayo.
Habol pa, habol
Oo,
pa.
habol-habol pa. Clutch win. Okay. Wala pa. Pero grabe no, yung Miss Queenie, super helpful yung promise na. I do have one sa bahay. And then,
Naiinggit ka ba?
bumili na kayo, kakasweldo lang.
Di ba nanalo ka dati?
Yeah, nanalo ako dati sa GDG din. I participated before sa GDG. And nanalo po ako ng Nest, yung first version yun, yung Google Home pa siya. No? So, thank you po. Participant pa lang ako dati. Tapos ngayon,
Post na, big time.
Thank you, GDG, for this opportunity. Alright, do we have the winners na? Go guys, post na kayo ng post.
And nakita ko marami nang nakatutok sa phone,
Oo.
nagkakabol.
Feeling ko check na nila yung mga likes nila. Okay. Alright, so for now, please, we'll flash the QR code on the
As
screen.
mentioned, we would love to hear your feedback. So go to bit.ly/DFMNL22-feedback. So filling out this form will only take 3 to 5 minutes to accomplish, as we are eager to know what we can improve for the next events. So on behalf of all our partners, sponsors, speakers, and volunteers, we are very thankful for this opportunity.
Alright, I believe we already have our social media winners. Let's see them.
Okay.
Alright.
So congratulations for the Devfest Manila 2022 shirt winners.
Our first one, Mary Joyce Soriano Peralta,
We have Denise Francisco,
Clarice Escobedo,
Courtney Mazo,
and Kel Austria. Please, punta po tayo dito sa harap. Hello! Tama ko sa picture. Punta po tayo dito sa harap so you can claim all your prizes. Alright, let's go. So Mary Joy Soriano Peralta, Denise Francisco, Clarice Escobedo, Courtney Mazo, and Kel Austria.
how complete attendance.
Ay, galing. 5 talaga sila. Okay po.
So aside from this, we're also giving away now we're giving away the 2 tote bags and 3 shirts from IT Genius.
Alright, so let's go take a picture. 1. Thank you. Okay, now go to your seat. Alright, next from IT Genius, I believe we're going to give them shirts as well. Alright, so John Michael Jose,
Gloan Nagman,
and John Eric Isoy. Let's go. Congratulations.
double time guys, as we have a lot more winners to announce.
Alright, so next up for tote bags winners is Marie Charles Malo.
Son John Vizquera.
Please go here in front. Congratulations. And for the winner from IT Genius, we have another Google Home Mini winner, Clark Cyrem Aaron Perez. Congratulations. Congratulations, everyone. Are you Clark? Ito pala si Clark po.
in the next year, siya na yung next host.
Ooh.
Following your
Oh,
footsteps.
Alright.
So now let's take a picture. Thank you and congratulations once again.
And now we're going forward to GDG Manila raffle winners. We have 15 winners of GDG shirt, Alejandro,
Nicole Carzon,
John Patrick Laurel,
Jason Kiao,
Lorenzo Miguel Garcia,
Jano Peralta,
Jose Marie Antonio Minoza,
Ace Kenneth Candulo,
Raven Duca,
Romy Ray Santiago,
June Aida,
Don Jericho,
John Emil Leones III,
Anne Margaret Sicoho,
and Aaron Zapet Ruaya. Congratulations to these 15 winners! Are you here? Punta na po kayo dito sa harap so we can give your prizes. Congratulations everyone! Now let's take a picture with you. 15 dapat to ah.
I think 5. Okay.
Okay, so wala na yung 15. Calling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So
Alright.
we have another draw.
Yes. Alright, I think they've already sent us the new winners, no? So let's call on. Oh! Wala na ba? Sorry.
Ako na lang.
Wala dito. Ibang lucky pala yung hinahanap natin. Sa right side naman daw po, lugi daw sila. Alam. Alright. Alright, you guys naman now. Okay, so now, while we're giving away our shirts, we're calling all our speakers to come here in front, on stage. For all our speakers, punta po tayo dito sa harap. For all our, let's call on our speakers. Grabe, swerte ng mga nakabisa ng table.
Hindi yata ako nasama sa pulutan.
Okay. So, guys. Okay, so after this, so now we're going to have a group photo. And dito yung camera and we'll... mag-forward muna po lahat. Yung mga nasa likod po, we have empty seats here. So you can be included and visible sa ating photo. Yan. Very traditional na ating before we did our goodbye.
Para in the next years, kapag mag-attend ulit kayo ng Devfest, nakikita nyo na yung sarili niya sa picture.
Actually, pag nakita ko yung mga picture natin, parang dito ako nakapasto. Ayan, ang dami-dami niya. Let's go! Now, while you are finding your seats, on behalf of all our partners, sponsors, speakers, and volunteers, thank you everyone for attending today.
As much as we want to continue celebrating with you, all great things must come to an end.
We hope to see you on our next DevFest.
This is Joss.
And this is Aaron, and now we are signing off from the Group Developer Group, Devfest 2022 Manila! Let's take a photo. Okay, sige, mag-cue tayo
Guys, please don't leave muna. Let's have a photo. Let's get for the anniversary, please.
Okay, so first we're going to take a quick picture and then afterwards we're going to take a video, okay? So, picture muna tayo. Okay, one. Okay na ba lahat? 1, 2, 3, smile. Isa pa. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, now for our video, sasabihin natin ang GDG. Okay, GDG DevFest Manila 2022 and then stop. Okay, GDG DevFest Manila 2022. Woo! Ganun na. Practice muna tayo, practice muna. Practice muna. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. GDG!
Okay, kaya ba ito? Ulitin mo, everyone. Hindi tayo pare-pare.
Okay, GDG DevFest 2022 Manila. Okay. GDG DevFest 2022 Manila. Okay. Alright, ito na, totoo na to. 1, 2, 3, go!
Wait, may isa pa. Okay, last. Happy 15th birthday, GDG. Okay, anniversary daw. Ayaw na ng birthday. Happy 15th anniversary, GDG Manila. Okay?
Okay po. Okay,
May boom pa yun sa dulo. Sabi ng director ko. Okay, let's go. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everyone, and please stay safe.
Thank you, thank you. Ingat po sa travel. We hope you enjoyed our program. Thanks, everyone.
Ganda. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, end.